Races Net, first and third Sunday, 8 p.m., W5FC. FC.
I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
This is Kilo Echo 5, India, Charlie X-Ray. Does anyone need to use the repeater before we begin the 9 p.m. Skynet? I'm thinking that's a no. So, this is Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray. My name's Tom. I'll be your net control for this session of the DARC Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic, and we encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter the net at any time using the pro sign break very enthusiastically and your call sign. Is there any emergency or a priority traffic? Please come now. This is a directed net, so please do not transmit without direction from net control. That would be me, and stations are reminded to ID at the end of their transmissions. This weekly net operates on this frequency, which is, in case you're guessing, 146.880 megahertz with a field tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible using the W5FC-R station ID or Echolink node 37247. Tonight's topics, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio-video links are available online. Just go to the club website, which is w5fc.org right now for a complete list. And remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur operators are welcome, and you need not be a member of any amateur radio club to participate. This net is 50 minutes long. It is structured in these parts. 1. General announcements. 2. Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events where and when you can look through a telescope. 3. National Space Society. 4. Discussion topic of the evening. Space exploration and space history. 6. What's up? 7. Miss Caroline's constellation of the week. 8. Space launches of the week. 9. Recent astronomical discoveries. 10. Visible satellite passages over the next couple of days. 11. Astronomical Q&A. 12. The 73 round. 13. The 74 round. All light amateurs licensed to transmit on this frequency are welcome to check in. So let's start with low power and short time check-ins. Please come now with your call sign name and where you're transmitting from this evening. Let me know if you're low power, short time. Hearing none. Let's go ahead and go to general check-ins. If you'd like to join us this evening, please come now with your call sign, phonetically, your name, and where you're transmitting from. Please come now.
November 5, Bravo, Bill in Irving. This is November 5, Alpha, Bravo, Alpha, Andre and Wiley, and I think you had a double Tom when you were checking for short time and low power, and 588.
Kilo India 5, Foxtrot, Echo Tango, Estefania, and Wiley.
Kilo Golf 5, Quebec, X-Ray India, Glenn and Rockwell.
Is November 5, Whiskey Oscar India, William and Allen. Short time.
Cortez. Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu, Lima. Brenda and DeSoto.
Golf 5, Papa, Mike and Richardson.
Foxtrot 5, Zulu, Bravo, Lima, Bill, Farmers Branch.
Alpha 5, Alpha Hotel, Robert and Richardson.
This is Kilo 5, Alpha, November, Papa, Allen in Dallas.
Level 5, Juliet, Delta, Whiskey, John and his winter home in Coppell.
Kilo 5, Kilo, Tango X-ray, Kelly in Quinlan.
Tango 9er Victor, Michael in Plano.
This is Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha, Chaz, Mesquite.
This Kilo Bravo 5, Uniform November Zulu, Max in Fort Worth.
This is November 6, November Charlie Tango, Chuck in Bedford.
All right, that's pretty healthy. Let me go ahead and get these checked in. I may need a filler too. Let me start at the top. I've got N5BV, Mr. Bill and Irving. N5AVA, Andre and Wiley. K5FET, Stephania, Wiley. KG5QXI, that's Glenn in Rockwell. I've got N5WOI, William and Alan, short time. I'm going to come back to you because you're short time in a little bit. W5 OZL, Miss Brendan DeSoto. KG5P, Mike in Richardson. KF5ZBL, Mr. Bill, Farmers Branch. AA5AH, Robert in Richardson. K5ANP, Alan, Dallas. K5JDW, John in his summer home, Capel. K5 KTX, Miss Kelly in Quinlan. WT9V, Victor Michael in Plano. KF5JHA, Chaz in Mesquite. KB5, UNZ, Max in Fort Worth. N6NCT, Doug in Pittsburgh, over in East Texas. Doug, did I get your call sign right? And great that you're making the haul this evening. N6NCT, I believe Doug in Pittsburgh, am I correct?
Roger that. Copy. This is M6MCT in Bedford, Texas.
Well, all right, very good. I've got you in Bedford, N6NCT, Doug, in Bedford. So we thought you were coming from further away. That's okay. Bedford's fine. Mid-Cities is good. I'll take additional check-ins. If you'd like to join us, please come now with your call sign phonetically, your name, where you're transmitting from.
Kilo Golf 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James Mobile, Carrollton.
Right, I've got one more check-in, number 18. KG5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James Mobile in Carrollton. I have you checked in. I will now move over to Echolink. If you'd like to join us this evening over on Echolink, please come with your call sign phonetically, your name, where you're transmitting from. I will give everyone extra time because Echolink can be slow. Please come now.
Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey J near Weatherford.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Tango Hotel Tango Hotel Bravo, and that's Brent in Henrietta, Texas.
Kilo India 5, Bravo November Papa, Luis in Fort Worth.
let me get those check-ins. I've got N5IMS, JJ in Carrollton. He's listening in. He was in the chat window. KG5BZWJ near Weatherford. KF5THB, Brent in Henrietta. Welcome back. KI5BNP, Luis in Fort Worth. Welcome back. I'll now open it up to anyone who'd like to check in this evening who has not done so already. Please come with your call sign, name, where you're transmitting from. I think it, Randy, KE5JIT over on Echolink. Now let me go back. I've got William, N5WOI over in Allen. He's short time, so I'm going to go ahead and give him a chance to bring anything to the net. William, if you got anything for the net, not trying to call you out or anything, just want to know if you've got anything you would like to bring to the net, question or announcement or bulletin. Go ahead. This is KE5ICX.
Just wanted to say that N5WI here, that back in the day, back 98 to 2003, I was doing a lot of CCD astronomy. It was a cookbook type setup. Some people may have heard of that. It's basically a parts kit that you built a CCD camera. It used water cooling and a little pelter chip to keep the CCD chip cool, and I actually was able to find a lost asteroid with it, and I put the location and coordination, right ascension, declination, where in proper format, and sent it into the Minor Planet Center. And Allen, Texas is now number 733 on the Minor Planet Center Observatory list. So that's been my contribution to the astronomy and science endeavor. So thought I'd share that with you. That's all I got for tonight. N5WI, back to the net.
William, thank you so much for sharing that. We need to do more of that, doing some open mic stuff and discuss some of the things. We do that, but we only have a very short time that we offer it. I think that would be great. I have an asterisk by your name, and I would love for you to talk about that sometime when you have an opportunity and you got some time and you're not traveling or short time to discuss that further. I think that would be a fantastic discussion, and I know that there's some folks out there that have an interest in that, especially with the asteroid hunting and using a CCD to be able to pick that stuff up. So I'm going to come back to you later in another net and ask you about that. Do you have an email address that I can contact you with on this?
I do, and when you hear it, you'll know that I've been doing this for quite a while. It's Stargazer, one word, 111 at tx.rr.com. Had it for quite a while.
All right, very good. I'm going to confirm that. Stargazer111 at tx.rr.com. Is that correct?
That is correct. N5WI.
All right, thank you, William. And I've got this down. I'll probably send you an email in the morning, and maybe I can entice you into doing a little presentation or discussing it further. Thanks very much. I do appreciate it. And this is KE5ICX. I'm net control for tonight, Skynet. And we're at 23 check-ins. Let's see now. What do we got next? Already did check-ins. So, next is general announcements. Do we have any general announcements for this evening's net? They could be ham, astronomical, space, or of general interest to licensed hams. Please come now. All right, I think Tony has the night off, and we'll deservedly so. So I'm just going to go ahead and give the next lecture in lab, which is coming up this coming Saturday. We'll be building a 2-element, 2-meter Yagi, suitable for use with your HT or base rig. You can even use it to get started in fox hunting. And I know that one of our folks has checked in. Let's see, that would be, WT9 Victor. Michael usually gives us a little announcement on that, so that is available and something you might want to consider. At any rate, let me get back, since I seem to be off script. You can even use it to get started in fox hunting. I think I said that. It'll be about $5. I don't know. That just covers some of the miscellaneous stuff. And of course, K5RWK Fox Hunt series is continuing. So you need to go to their website. Not sure where it is, but you can find it. If you enjoy, let's see here. It says if you've enjoyed the RIDI presentation that Ken Hansen and 2VIP gave at our last meeting, you should put your interest to work. The ARRL Rookie Roundup RIDI event will be going on tomorrow afternoon. Remember, it's number 2. Please check that out. Go to w5fc.org. You'll find the hot link there that tells you all about the Rookie Roundup. Ken did an excellent presentation last week discussing about RIDI and the Roundup itself. If you've never done the Roundup, this is an opportunity, and you can be a rookie. Why? Because you're the guy that people, or gal, that people want to be able to talk to. RIDI has been around for a bazillion million years, at least a million, and as such, anybody who's new into RIDI digital communication are very desirable on tomorrow's contest. So find out additional information about it. Give a shot at RIDI tomorrow. If you've never done it before, you're a rookie. Does anyone have any additional announcements? Please come now. Michael, go ahead. And I have currently one of the pens you sent me, LC Staffing from lcstaffing.com. That's all it says. It's got a mountain or something from my misprinted pens that you gave me. Go ahead. I just thought I'd make that announcement because I have one of your pens in my hand. KE5ICX. Go ahead.
Now they're your pens, and I couldn't think of anybody more deserving than a pile of misprinted pens. I just wanted to say something about the K5RWK.org fox hunt. We've been doing it pretty much every weekend. The fox goes out around 8 o'clock in the morning. I believe the frequency is 144.5. Transmits about every 3 minutes or so. And it stays out until Sunday evening. The batteries last, until Sunday 6, 9 o'clock somewhere, whenever they pick it up on Sunday evening. So we encourage everybody to come out and find the log when you find it, and more the merrier. WT9V.
Thank you, Michael. And does anybody need any fills, please contact WT9V, Michael direct. Okay, hearing none. That's okay. When you build your little Yagi antenna made out of measuring tape this coming Saturday, you'll probably change your tune and want to know all about this. Okay, this is KE5ICX on net control for tonight's Skynet. Let's see. I'm going to skip a lot of the DARC net stuff because you know all of that. Go to w5fc.org and you'll find information on all of our nets. There's a net every night of the week, and we have Monday nets, which are very popular, and of course the Saturday nets, which are also very popular. Check it out. Go to w5fc.org, get all the information there. Now we also have, this is not the last net of the evening, we do have a final net, which is the Afterglow movie net. We will be discussing a movie that everybody has watched and done a homework assignment, probably written up the paper, check for spelling, and then you'll be able to talk about it. So here's the information from my highly accurate synopses of the film. Here it is. Tonight's Afterglow movie net at 10:30 p.m. is the year is 1985, the present. Michael Harlan needs a finished science project, and he needs it right now. A local abandoned government airplane boneyard is the perfect place to find the science project subject project. Harlan unfortunately breaks into a fallout shelter. He falls through it. Inside is a plasma globe thing. He later discovers it's an alien device destined to open a portal to another world. Are you still there? Why are you listening to this? This movie got a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes. Well, you know what that means? So join us at 10:30 p.m. for the 1985 My Science Project. You know, there are better films that came out that year, including Back to the Future. But we won't be discussing that. You can keep up with all the DARC events, nets, and activities by going to the club website, which is whiskey5friedchicken.org. Next up, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas, where and when you can see through a telescope, when you can look through a telescope. You can probably see through a telescope, too. I think they're kind of the same thing. So everybody here would like to discuss TAS. Please come down with your call sign. Oh, man, they all ran away. Okay, let me give you a brief blurb on it. Go to texasastro.org. You'll find out all the information about TAS, as well as their monthly meetings. Fourth Friday is the meeting night at the University of Texas at Dallas campus in Richardson. Meeting begins at 7:30 in the Science Learning Center. Remember to only park in Lots Hotel, India, and Juliet. Parking anywhere else on campus could result in a ticket, an arrest, and then a test. Includes a slideshow with the current constellation of the month, items for sale such as t-shirts, books, and observing aids, as well as a very friendly greeter who comes by and welcomes you to the meeting. Very worthwhile, free, and it is at the University of Texas at Dallas campus in Richardson. All right, let's see here. They also have, I forgot to mention, Texas Astronomical Society also hosts observing parties every Saturday night, beginning at sunset and concluding around 10 p.m. Each week is a different location for observing, so make sure you get the complete details for the Saturday night you wish to attend. Go to texasastro.org and select calendar in the pull down for complete details. Star Party is at Cedar Hill. That's at 1605 High Point Lane in Cedar Hill. This is a free event held at the J.W. Williams Park. It is open to the public. They usually have several telescopes set up for your viewing pleasure. All right. right, let me go ahead and go to the next section. I got National Space Society events and activities. Bill, N5BB, what do you have for us this evening? And by the way, I really enjoyed the presentation you guys had last Sunday. I had a blast. Go ahead, Bill, N5BB from KE5ICX.
N5BB, thank you, Tom. Well, that's the main thing I have. So last Sunday, August the 11th, the National Space Society North Texas chapter had their regular monthly meeting, Spring Creek Barbecue, at the southwest corner of 183 and Beltline in Irving. And the speaker was John Hansen from the Center for Robust Speech Systems at UT Dallas. And he presented a presentation about a project that he was directly involved with, involving digitizing the tapes, the audio tapes of the Apollo missions. And he brought with him, and I believe Jim and I also, this is the audio recordings. So I believe the only one they've really fully digitized and transcribed was for Apollo 11, the moon landing. The basic goal of the project is to figure out how humans interact with each other in groups via communication, which is very similar to what we're doing right now on this net. And one really good example they came up with was the Apollo missions, in particular, of course, the Apollo 11 moon landing. So it was an extremely interesting presentation. I have a copy of it if anybody's interested. Tom, I will try to remember to forward you a copy of the presentation. He sent it to me. And really neat. The next meeting of the National Space Society North Texas chapter will be in September, on September the 8th, Sunday, at the same location I mentioned before. I don't yet know the topic for the next meeting. We don't have any really big events going on the next couple of weeks. We have a lot of events back in July because of the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11. That's all I got. This is N5BB.
Very good. Thank you, Bill. And thank you for doing a good job on bringing John in to do the presentation. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I can't tell you how interesting it was, and you've had several meetings. So, yeah, all your meetings are good, but the ones that I've attended have been really exceptional. Thanks very much. This is KE5ICX. I'm net control for tonight's Skynet. Before I get into tonight's topic, I'll go ahead and take additional check-ins. If you'd like to join us this evening, please come now with your call sign, your name, and where you're transmitting from. All right, I guess we're good to go at this point. All right, tonight's topic, and this was partly inspired by the National Space Society meeting this past Sunday, and it has to do with, well, there's a confluence of many different things that came together. This has to do with Mission Control, Houston's Mission Control or Manned Spacecraft Center. And I've been reading Gene Kranz's book, which is called Failure is Not an Option. I'm finding it really fascinating, and it really dovetailed into what happened on with the meeting on Sunday with talking about how Mission Control conducts missions. And there's another interesting thing in this. Gene Kranz, who was the second in charge of Mission Control, he was number 2. He was also part of the White Team, which was the second group of whenever you did a mission, you had 24/7 coverage, which was always true when there's multi-day missions. He was part of the white crew, the second crew that would go and contact the astronauts and monitor the missions. Well, as you'll find out, today is Gene Kranz's birthday. I think he's 86 today, so he's kind of important. So let me go ahead and go through what I got here, a little bit about him and a little bit about mission control over the past few years. And I did mention this, of course I wrote this up. I've been reading Gene Kranz's book, Failure is Not an Option, a book written by the seminal flight control from the Gemini and Apollo days. Coincidentally, today is his 86th birthday. You probably remember him as played by Ed Harris as the white-vested nerves of steel, get them home white team leader from the movie Apollo 13. What I've learned so far, and I'm still reading the book, I'm somewhere between the Gemini and Apollo missions, actually I am, and it's less about the technical aspects of the missions, though the book is still loaded with enough space porn to keep this space enthusiast happy. But the point of the book is how in the early days of the U.S. space program was how Chris Kraft and Kranz molded the men and women of NASA mission control into professionals that we admire today. The professional organization that can do just about anything. In those early days of space flight, nothing was known about getting people into space as safely as possible. However, his first job after acceptance at NASA was to build up a list of essential activities, timing of those activities, and assignment of the appropriate mission control team to get the brand new Mercury program operational. As a procedures officer, Krantz was put in charge of integrating Mercury control with the launch control team at Cape Canaveral, Florida, with the writing the go, no-go procedures that allowed missions to continue as planned or be aborted, along with serving as a sort of switchboard operator between the control center at Cape Canaveral and the agency's 14 tracking stations and 2 tracking ships via teletype, TTY. RIDI? I think we were talking about that. Well, it wasn't RIDI, but it was teletype. Located across the globe, Krantz performed this role for all unmanned and manned Mercury flights, including MR3 and MR3, Mercury Redstone 3, that was the Shepard mission, and MA6, which is an orbital mission, which puts the first Americans into space and orbit, respectively. After MA6 was promoted, he was promoted to Assistant Flight Director on MA7 of Scott Carpenter in May of 1962. He continued this role for the remaining 2 Mercury flights and 3 Gemini flights. With the upcoming Gemini, he was promoted to Flight Director level and served his first shift, the so-called Operations Shift, for the Gemini 4 mission in 1965, the first U.S. EVA and 4-day flight. After Gemini, he served as flight director on an odd-numbered Apollo missions, including Apollo 5, that was an unmanned mission, 7, that was an Earth orbital, and 9, also an Earth orbital mission, including the first and only successful unmanned test of the lunar module, Apollo 5. He was serving as the flight director for Apollo 11 when the lunar module Eagle landed on the moon on July 20th of 1969. So what was it like in those days of early mission control? Each flight controller took a different color as a designator as far as their team. The first 3 flight controllers chose red, white, and blue, and each was identified as white flight, or blue flight, or red flight. The tradition that continues today. Thus, Krantz was white flight and was the leader of the white team and one of the flight control teams whose shift at mission control contributed to saving Apollo 13 astronauts. Though Apollo 13 did not achieve its objective, Krantz and its astronauts rescue is an example of the human factor born out of the 1960 space race. According to Krantz, This factor was largely responsible for helping put America on the moon in only a decade. The blend of young, intelligent minds working day in and day out by sheer willpower yielded the right stuff. Krantz had this to say about the human factor. There were people who were energized by a mission, and these teams were capable of moving right on and doing everything America asked them to do in space. According to him, a few organized examples of this factor included Grumman, who developed the Apollo lunar module, North American Aviation, and Lockheed Corporation. After the excitement of the 1960s, these companies dissolved into corporate mergings, such as that happened when Lockheed became Lockheed Martin. Another example is the human factor was the ingenuity and hard work by teams that developed the emergency plans and sequences as new problems arose during the Apollo 13 mission. So here's one. This is kind of a downer. The first quote is after the Apollo 1 fire and his reaction to it. It's perhaps the best description of mission control, which was still evolving and growing as it transitioned from the hectic launch schedule of the Gemini missions to the brand new Apollo program. While the last 3 Gemini missions were handled by other mission controllers, Krantz and many of his original team were assigned to Apollo. The program to get man on the moon, and he and they spent the next year and a half getting ready for the Apollo missions. However, on January 27, 1967, a fire broke out in the Apollo 1 spacecraft during a ground test. Afterward, Krantz addressed his controllers with the following message. It was later repeated after the Challenger disaster almost exactly 19 years later. He says, space flight will never tolerate carelessness, incapacity, and neglect. Somewhere, somehow, we screwed up. It could have been in design, build, or test. Whatever it was, we should have caught it. We were too gung-ho about the schedule, and we locked out all of the problems we saw each day in our work. Every element of the program was in trouble, and so were we. The simulators were not working. Mission control was behind in virtually every area, and the flight and test procedures changed daily. Nothing we did had any shelf life. Not one of us stood up and said, "Damn it, stop." I don't know what Thompson's committee will find as the cause, but I know what I find. We are the cause. We are not ready. We are not doing our job. We're rolling the dice, hoping that things would come together by launch day, when in our hearts we knew that it would be a miracle. We were pushing the schedule and betting the Cape would slip before we did. From this day forward, flight control will be known by 2 words, tough and competent. Tough means that we're forever accountable for what we do and what we fail to do. We will never again compromise our responsibilities. Every time we walk into mission control, we will know what we stand for. Competent means that we will never take anything for granted. We will never be found short in our knowledge or in our skills. Mission control will be perfect. You will leave this meeting today, you will go to your office, and the first thing you will do is write tough and competent on your blackboards. It will never be erased. Each day when you enter the room, these words will remind you of the price paid by Grissom, White, and Chaffee. These words are the price of admission to the ranks of mission control. The phrase tough and competent was echoed by NASA Director Sean O'Keefe following the Space Shuttle Columbia disaster, adding that these words are the price of admission to the ranks of NASA, and we should adopt it that way. He also said we have risen probably one of the greatest challenges in history to put man on the moon in a decade. We created incredible technologies. But what is most important, we created the teams, what I call the human factor, people who are energized by a mission. And these teams were capable of moving right on and doing everything America asked them to do in space. And what we did is we watched these teams disappear. We watched the great contractors, the Grummans, the North Americans, and the Lockheeds disappear from the horizon. And I think that it's really sad that Americans, that we have destroyed much of this infrastructure, and that we have the days when we went to the moon. You have to remember, this is at the end of the shuttle program, I believe, is when he made these statements, but there's more. In many ways, we have the young people, we have the talent, we have the imagination, we have the technology, but I don't believe we have leadership and willingness to accept risk to achieve great goals. I believe we need a long-term national commitment to explore the universe, and I believe this is an essential investment in the future of our nation and our beautiful but environmentally challenged planet. But when you think about it, we do have something new coming, and it's called the Artemis program. The Artemis program is our return to the moon, and then after that, going to Mars. So here's some of the things to consider and to think about going forward. With the announcement of the Artemis program, a new generation of flight controllers will build upon the experience in low Earth orbit and take the first steps back to the moon and eventually Mars. The initial mission objective will be to land astronauts on the moon by 2024. That's just 5 years from now. They will, this time, not only work through the physical complexities of such a mission, defining the technological goals, the procedures to do so, but also the necessary and sometimes improvised contingency plans to save an astronaut or mission through their own intimate personal knowledge. So expect that their jobs to be so expert that without flinching or second guessing that they will produce a right decision the first time. The job of a mission controller still remains as it was in the 1960s, one of high pressure, personal tenacity, integrity, and absolute focus. The timeline is ambitious and will demand a hectic schedule, as we saw from the Apollo days. This time around, will require not just NASA, but also ESA, the European Space Agency, and also likely companies such as Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin, for a lander, Elon Musk, SpaceX, for getting payloads to the moon, and of course the new SLS launch system being developed at Michelin Assembly Facility in New Orleans. Let's flash forward to today, and one of the created an office that's out of this world and embraced a trend for flexible working. Well, this is a little different. So what's happened? What's changed? This comes from Regis.com and an article involving an interview with him. So what does NASA Mission Control look like today? Well, it's a little like an emergency call center or an air traffic control facility. There are around 20 tables, all with several computer displays, plus a big screen at the front of the room, displaying summary data from the entire team. And by the way, this is KE5ICX, and this is Skynet. As you've probably seen in films, we have a bank of clocks on the top of the wall, displaying everything from the current time to the time of the next satellite coverage for the spacecraft. From almost everything we do, we're either counting down to it, or we're counting how much time it's been since we started it. What most surprises visitors? Well, people always get giddy when they walk into a viewing room and see a large map and a center screen showing precisely where the spacecraft is over Earth. Next to the map is a large screen that shows a video coming from inside or outside the spacecraft. Visitors stare, and every time someone eventually says, "Is that real? Is it coming? Is it happening right now?" The answer always is, yes, that's exactly what's happening now, 250 miles up in space, halfway around the world from us. The layout of the center is iconic. How much has gone into it? He says 60 years ago, when we first started flying in space, it was very important where people sat. Specific disciplines were grouped together because it was easier for them to compare notes. In today's computer environment, that's much less important. Now it's enough for them just to be in the room together or have systems where they can virtually look at each other in the eye and exchange data wherever they are. So they asked, do staff have the options to work remotely or flexibly? Oh, that sounds familiar. He says evolving technology allows for some degree of flexibility. We have systems so that people outside the control room can log in and work from home. And certainly for cases where they are not flying a spacecraft, they're not doing data analysis or putting presentations together, there's no reason they can't do that from elsewhere. The center also started letting people take every other Friday as a work-from-home day. We encourage people on an individual basis, if your work was such that you could get your 80 hours per day pay period in 9 days instead of 10, then as long as you didn't have some meeting you had to be in for, then by all means, and take that day off. There's a huge effect on the morale in the team, so flexible working, when used sensibly, is helping us. One thing I got to interject here, yes, you got to remember that in the original days, they were either preparing for a mission, had a mission, or they were completing a mission and then preparing for another mission. Today, that's not the case. Every day is a mission. So you have to be able to help folks and make sure that they have a normal, reasonable life. When back in the 60s, when they did this sort of thing, they were working for weeks on end and very rarely saw their families. That couldn't go on, and today, when you have a sea station that's been in orbit for 20 years, not possible. You have to be able to create a work environment where people can work together and maintain the same focus that you would have even on an Apollo program or a Mercury program every day, and do so for 20 plus years. Here's some interesting stuff. It says, how ergonomic are the workstations? At the risk of offending many of my predecessors in the first 40 or 50 years of our existence, a lot of human factors were secondary, and the focus were all on the technical side. It wasn't unusual to have uncomfortable chairs, seating positions, and keyboard positions. In the past 10 years, we learned to take that more seriously. Starting in about 2011, we completely changed everything. So how many changes came about as a result of staff feedback? Well, it came in little pieces. People didn't complain about much because it was just the way things were back then. When people used to complain about seating or lighting, management would roll their eyes and say, yeah, we went to the moon with this lighting. Now shut up and do your job. Yet as the years went by, there started to be studies showing the importance of good ergonomics. NASA's own doctors told us where was the direct relationship between the type of lighting, and we had our workstations and our people's mood. Overall, we discovered we could significantly enhance the ergonomics and make it a better workplace for our people without impacting cost. The new commercially available computer tables we bought were actually cheaper than the government-issued consoles that we were replacing. All right, let me skip on down here a little bit. I guess this is a little long, but what can civilians learn about mission control? Well, the big one is be careful that when you're not continuing to do what you've always done. For the longest time, the fact that we built the office in a way that kept us from using very expensive equipment, and it wasn't as good as it could have been. It sounds crazy considering that we do that all day. But it took a long time for us to switch from the old PCs and software to the latest technology. Taking a leap and making the change is the best that we could have done. In any case, this was partially inspired by the National Space Society thing that I saw last Sunday, which I really enjoyed, and the opportunity to actually kind of go back in time and listen to what all was said, especially from the mission controllers. There's a lot to be said for those guys and gals and what they do. in space, and they do so every day, or talking to space and working with astronauts. Gene Kranz, of course, with today being his birthday and the fact that he was so intense on all of this and made these missions successful, he and Chris Kraft together, and then their crews, the Llewellyns and John Aaron, and a lot of people who became famous through their efforts at flight control, at mission control, certainly tell us that the future is based upon what they learned and from the shoulders of giants. So I thought that was really kind of cool, and I enjoyed it, and I will let you know how it all works out in the end with the book that I'm reading, which is that failure is not an option. It's not about Apollo 13. It's about, although it does reference it, it has everything to do about people and working together in very high-stress situations and being successful. KE5ICX, I'm net control for Skynet. I'll go ahead and take additional check-ins. Anyone who would like to join us this evening, please come now with your call sign name, where you're transmitting from. I'll put you on the list, and then we'll move on to the next section of the net. Please come now.
This is Kilo 5, Kilo Oscar Bravo, Philip from Crandall.
This is Kilo India 5, Foxtrot Romeo Bravo, James in Northeast Dallas.
This is Kilo India 5, Bravo Kilo X-Ray, Gentry, Louisville.
All right, I've got three over here. K5KOB, Philip and Crandall. Welcome back. KI5FRB, James in Northeast Dallas. And I got KI5BKX, Gentry in Louisville. Welcome. I see additional people over on Echolink. I'll give you a chance to check in. If you'd like to join us, please come with your call sign name, where you're transmitting from. Echolink only. Please come now.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Papa Delta Sierra, Billy, and Sherman.
All right, I got KF5PDS, Miss Billy over in Sherman. Anybody else over there, you can go ahead and type in the chat window, let me know if you're listening, and I'll put you on the list, and I will acknowledge you on the net. Okay, next up is space exploration and space history. What? I'm losing my mind. K5KTX, Miss Kelly, please take the net. What do you have for us this evening from KE5ICX?
Thank you, Tom. This is K5KTX. And in the news, hot off the press, just yesterday, NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine was joined by U.S. Representatives Mo Brooks and Robert Adderholt of Alabama and Scott Desjardins of Tennessee at the agency's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama, to announce the center's new role leading the agency's Human Landing System program for its return to the moon by 2024. Marshall Space Flight Center is the birthplace of America's space program. It was Marshall scientists and engineers who designed, built, tested, and helped launch the giant Saturn V rocket that carried astronauts on the Apollo missions to the moon, Brooks said. Marshall has unique capabilities and expertise not found at other NASA centers. I'm pleased NASA has chosen Marshall to spearhead a key component of America's return to the moon and usher in the Artemis era, he said. Bridenstine discussed the announcement in front of the 149-foot-tall Space Launch System rocket liquid hydrogen tank structural test article currently being tested. Informed by years of expertise in propulsion systems integration and technology development, engineers at Marshall will work with American companies to rapidly develop, integrate, and demonstrate a human lunar landing system that can launch to the gateway, pick up astronauts, and ferry them between the gateway and the surface of the moon. This is Johnson Space Center in Houston, which manages major NASA human spaceflight programs, including the Gateway, Orion, Commercial Crew, and International Space Station, will oversee all aspects related to preparing the landers and astronauts to work together. Johnson also will manage all Artemis missions, beginning with Artemis 1, the first integrated test of NASA's deep space exploration systems. And in space history for this past week, beginning with August the 11th, back in 1877, astronomers in the 19th century were certain that Mars had no moon. Asaph Hall, an astronomer at the U.S. Naval Observatory in Washington, D.C., was not convinced. In August 1877, he began his search. After a few failures and cloudy nights, however, he was on the verge of giving up. Encouraged by his wife, he decided to give it one more try. So, on the night of August the 11th, 1877, he turned the U.S. Naval Observatory's giant 26-inch refractor telescope towards the sky again. Early in the morning, at roughly 2:30, he spotted a faint, suspicious object near Mars. Due to cloudy skies and poor atmospheric conditions, the astronomer did not have a chance to confirm this sighting till a few days later. On the night of August the 17th, as he looked eagerly to the skies, waiting for the reappearance of the moon of Mars, he noticed a second suspicious object. After confirmation from his peers, Hall announced the discovery of 2 moons of Mars. Hall, following a suggestion made by an English chemist named Henry Madden, named the 2 moons Phobos, which means fear, and Deimos, which means panic, the attendants of the god Mars, as mentioned in Homer's Iliad. On August the 12th, 2005, NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, or MRO, lifted off from pad SLC-41 at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. This was the first time that a United Launch Alliance Atlas V had been used for a planetary mission. The spacecraft arrived at Mars the next spring, March of 2006, and joined 3 other orbiters, the Mars Global Surveyor, Mars Odyssey, and ESA's Mars Express, and 2 rovers on the surface, Spirit and Opportunity. After almost 13 and a half years, MRO is still collecting data with its instruments and serving as a communication relay for other craft. In fact, earlier this year, on May the 15th, MRO chalked up its 60,000th orbit around the red planet. It has returned 361 terabits of data, tracked 3 landings for other Mars missions, and has taken over 378,000 images. One of its most recent images from May the 31st captured the Curiosity rover at Woodland Bay, which is near the Mount Sharp. August the 13th, 1969 was a big day for the Apollo 11 crew. In 1969, what was on the agenda? 4 cities, 3 flights, a state dinner with the president, and parades everywhere they went. Phew! The day began in Houston, where the public welcomed Neil, Mike, and Buzz home on their way out of town. Next, they had a 3-hour visit to New York City. In that short time, millions of New Yorkers greeted them with a record 300 tons of paper during a ticker tape parade, ceremonies at City Hall and the United Nations, and a ride back to the airport. By early afternoon, the astronauts were on their way to Chicago. More than 1 million Midwesterners saw them there at another parade before they jetted off on one more flight that day to Los Angeles. That evening, they attended a gala state dinner with President Nixon, who presented each crew member the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Across the country, the public celebrated the astronauts as American heroes, but the celebrations were just beginning. On September the 29th, they embarked on a 37-day goodwill tour, visiting 24 cities around the globe. And the next one, Tom has already mentioned this, so I'm going to kind of skip this since we're running a little long, but on August the 17th, in 1933, Gene Kranz was born in Toledo, Ohio. And I did want to mention, if you can find my YouTube channel, I do have a video there where I got to meet him, and he did a presentation about Apollo 13, and it's very interesting and funny. And by the way, he thinks he's better looking than Ed Harris. Finally, also on August the 17th, back in 1966, was the launch of Pioneer 7, the second in a series of 4 solar orbiters designed to measure, from widely separated points in space on a continuing basis, interplanetary phenomena such as the sun's magnetic field, the solar wind, and solar and galactic cosmic rays. The highly successful Pioneer missions each lasted many times longer than expected. On March 20th, 1986, Pioneer 7 flew within 12.3 million kilometers of Halley's Comet and monitored the interaction between the cometary hydrogen tail and the solar wind. On March the 30th, 1995, 29 years after launch, the plasma analyzer was turned on during 2 hours of contact with the ground. And that's all I've got this evening, Tom. This is K5KTX. Back to you.
Miss Kelly, and this is KE5ICX, net control for tonight's Skynet. What's up next? Well, what's up? Of course, KF5JHA. Chaz, what do you have for us this evening? What should we be looking for from KE5ICX?
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Tom. This is KF5JHA. Chaz, and my degree is in astrophysics. I work at Brookhaven Community College, and we call this segment of Skynet What's Up. Did you try to see any Perseid meteors this week? The peak was about 4 or 5 nights ago, and there's been worldwide reports of people seeing many fireballs from the Perseid meteor shower. Remember that a fireball is just a bright meteor. Also, remember that Skynet is not only available on the Dallas repeater 146.88 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9, but also available to hams across the world via Echolink. And most weeks, Skynet also has a video component too. You can find those video links on the w5fc.org website. So, with radio, Echolink, and video, I say that Skynet is in 3D. But Tony NT5TM says we are in 4D because we use the dimension of time. By the way, what goes on in the chat window of Echolink and what is being done on the video might not have anything to do with what's being talked about on air. And to get the full 4D version of Skynet, you must be monitoring all 3 areas at the same time. And I am KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. Okay, they're here. Have you ever heard of the dog days of summer? Where did we get that phrase, and what does it mean? What are these dog days of summer? Well, the dog days of summer really has nothing to do with dogs being lazier during the hot summer days. All of us feel a bit more lazy during the hottest days. The phrase dog days of summer has to do with the dog star Sirius. Sirius is the brightest star in the constellation of Canis Major, the big dog. Sirius is often called the dog star. Sirius also happens to be the brightest star in the entire sky other than our sun. Long ago, it was thought when our sun was roughly in the same part of the sky as Sirius, that Sirius, being so bright, added more heat to the sun's heat, which caused us to get hotter. And never mind the fact that the southern hemisphere is experiencing their coldest days at the same time. The actual cause for the heat in August for the northern hemisphere has to do with the tilt of the Earth's axis of rotation. Around June 21st of each year, the Earth's northern hemisphere is tilted more toward the sun, which allows more direct rays of light and energy to fall in the northern hemisphere. But why are the hottest days in August? It's because it takes a while for the soil and the water to heat up. It takes about 6 weeks to get the warmest days, which occur in the month of August in the northern hemisphere. Let's get back to the dog days of summer. The old Farmer's Almanac, I have many years worth of copies of that, says that the dog days of summer are from July 3rd through August the 11th. I'm not sure of all their reasoning, but I can tell you there are a couple of other ideas of the dog days of summer. And once again, I am Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha, and this is Skynet. Latitude here in North Texas, the sun and Sirius set at about the same time on June the 6th. That's this year, 2019. This date varies by a day or two each year, primarily due to leap years. And on July the 26th this year, 2019, the sun and Sirius rose together in the early morning sky. If you want to call the days between June the 6th and July the 26th the dog days of summer, I can agree with that. Ancient Egyptians had an eminent connection with the Nile River. Knowing when the Nile was at its highest flood stage was important to crops, navigation, and the worship of their gods, and much more. They noticed that they could first see Sirius for the first time in the early morning skies just before sunrise on a particular date. And that date coincided with the flooding of the Nile River. This is called the heliacal rising of Sirius. Because the Earth's orbit around the sun, the stars shift when we see them in the same part of the sky. In fact, they only shift about 4 minutes each day. If you watch the star rise tonight at 10 p.m., then tomorrow night it should rise about 9:56 p.m., which is 4 minutes earlier. This causes the stars to shift about half an hour per week, 2 hours per month, 24 hours for an entire year, and we're back where we started. For us here in North Texas, yesterday morning, you could probably not see Sirius in the low southeastern morning sky because the sky was too bright. This morning, on August 17th, if you had really sharp eyes and knew exactly where to look, you could have seen Sirius for just a few moments before the sky got too bright. And tomorrow morning, it'll be easier to see Sirius before morning twilight. So today, for us in North, is the day of heliacal rising of Sirius. Now, this date is different for different latitudes on the Earth. 2 days ago, on August 15th, there was a public holiday in Egypt where most schools and businesses were closed in observance of the highest flooding of the Nile River, which coincides with the heliacal rising of Sirius. So the dog days of summer are right now, and I hope you know now more about the dog days of summer. And I am KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. The moon will be full. Tonight, the moon is a waning gibbous phase. Today, August 17th, the moon is at apogee with a distance of 406,244 kilometers. The moon will be at its last or third quarter on August the 23rd. On August the 30th, the moon will be at its new phase. Also on August 30th, the moon will be at perigee with a distance of 357,177 kilometers. And this reminds me of something. How do you know that the moon is almost broke? It's because it's down to its last quarter. Once again, the moon was the dominant thing over the last week, but Jupiter and Saturn is really the dominant thing in the evening sky right now. Sometimes during these hot summer evenings, the sky can get really steady and the seeing is really good. Last month, I probably had the best view I've ever had of Jupiter in the 14.5-inch Dobsonian telescope at Brookhaven College. So, if you get a chance to go visit one of the Texas Astronomical Society Saturday night observing sessions over the next couple of months, make sure you get a good look at Jupiter as well as Saturn. Last thing, over the next few mornings, just before 6 a.m., you might be able to spot Mercury low in the eastern sky, just below the stars Castor and Pollux. Right now, Venus and Mars are kind of close to the sun in the sky, so you won't be able to see them for a little while longer. Now, before I end, do any of you out there in Radio Land have any questions or need a fill on any of the information? Or do you just have a general astronomy question? I don't know everything, but I might know the answer to your question. If you have a question, come now with your call sign.
Kilo Golf 5, Papa.
Thank you, Mike. Go for it.
Yes, thank you, Chaz. Yes, I have a question. The question follows. How do the Chinese astronauts cook their food? How do the Chinese astronauts cook their food?
No, I shouldn't do this, but I'll ask you. I'm not sure, but maybe it has something to do with a walk. Go ahead, Mike.
Absolutely, and that's why you're a professor and I'm just a perpetual student. Yes, it's a space walk. You're absolutely right. KG5P.
So, Billy got it on echoing. Very good for you, Billy. Okay, so as the moon is waning during the last half of August, so do my words. Until next week, keep looking up so you know what's up. And this is Chaz, KF5JHA. Back to Tom, our net control. Get me out of here, please. Good night.
Going on. Thank you, Chaz, and thank you, Mike. This is KE5ICX at Net Control. I almost forgot. There's an opportunity where I actually get to be a spectator on the net, and I forgot I was Net Control. I had to run back to the microphone. So here I am with my poorly printed pen. Next up is Mike, KG5B. He's got Miss Carolyn's constellation of the week. He's got a special topic this evening, so Mike, KG5B, tell us what it is from KE5ICX.
All right, KC5ICX in the group. There's KE5ICX. I'm sorry. All these 6-letter calls confuse me. It's KG5P. All right, well, last week we talked a little bit about the visionary, Elon Musk. The guy is a true visionary. And this is in Michio Kaku's book, The Future of Humanity. And what I'd like to do now is start working on kind of the space program, because he's got a lot of stuff written about the space program that's really cool. Now, he starts out with a section on Robert Goddard, which I'm going to skip tonight. Maybe we'll get back to it. But I want to talk about Tsiolkovsky, Konstantin Tsiolkovsky. And he was a real visionary. And then I'm going to kind of segue into Don Pettit's comments on his stuff. So, according to Michio Kaku, Tsiolkovsky was a lonely visionary. Says Goddard was one of the handful of pioneers who, despite isolation, poverty, and ridicule from their peers, forged ahead against all odds and laid the foundation for space travel. One of the first of these visionaries was the great Russian rocket scientist, Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, who mapped out the theoretical basis for space travel and paved the way for Goddard. Tsiolkovsky also lived in total poverty, was a recluse, and scraped by as a school teacher. If you don't think they get paid much now, they really didn't get paid much. As a youth, he spent most of his time in the library devouring science journals, learning Newton's laws of motion, and applying them to space travel. His dream was to travel to the moon and Mars. On his own, without the help of the scientific community, he figured out the mathematics, the physics, and mechanics of rockets. And he calculated the escape velocity of the Earth, that is, the speed necessary to escape the gravity of the Earth to be 25,000 miles an hour, which, of course, is far greater than the 15 miles per hour one could attain with horses at the time. In 1903, he published his famous rocket equation, and that's what we'll talk about tonight, and which Don Pettit calls the tyrannical rocket equation, because it really is. And this allows one to determine the maximum velocity of a rocket given its weight and fuel supply. This equation reveals that the relationship between fuel and speed is exponential. That is, normally one might assume that if you want to double the velocity of a rocket, you simply need to double the amount of fuel. That's not true. Instead, the amount of fuel you need rises exponentially with the change in velocity, so that enormous amounts of fuel are needed to give an extra boost in speed. This exponential relationship made it clear that you would need huge amounts of fuel to leave the Earth. With his formula, Tsiolkovsky was for the first time able to estimate how much fuel was necessary to go to the moon long before his vision became a reality. Okay, I'm going to stop there on Tsiolkovsky. And I'm going to pick up with Don Pettit. Now, Don Pettit is a retired NASA astronaut. I met him personally 2-3 years ago at the Texas Star Party. In fact, he even looked through my telescope. I think we were looking at the 104, the Sombrero Nebula. And then he had to move on. He had about 40 other people tugging at him. But he also spoke later, and what I have here is sort of the gist of his speech from my notes, and also I've seen him speak another time. And he particularly likes this topic. So this is the what he calls the tyrannical rocket equation, the tyranny of the rocket equation. So what is the tyranny? Well, if you have a rocket, we'll say, and you want to go somewhere, there are two things that you have to take into consideration, and as humans, we have very little control over these. Actually, very little to no control. So, where you want to go depends upon the magnitude of gravity and your choice of propellant. And at this point in our technology, we're limited to chemical propellants, and we get the energy out of chemical bonds. And so all we have control over is which propellant to use, because some propellants are more energetic than others. So this whole design of a rocket hinges on it's based on a balance between gravity and propellants and how much you want to move, the size of your rocket, including the payload. And this is factors that fit into the rocket equation. So the rocket equation involves the magnitude of the gravity field you're navigating through and the propellant. And like I said, we have very little control over both of these. And that's why Pettit calls it the tyranny of the rocket equation, because it holds a strong group on how we make rockets. So what is this rocket equation? Remember, Tsiolkovsky did this in 1903. Okay, well, first of all, we have what we call a delta V, and this is usually given in kilometers per second. Okay, rockets need to expend energy to escape the Earth's or any other gravitational well. So this energy is sort of expressed in delta V, which typically is how fast the rocket needs to go. For instance, to get in the near Earth orbit, we need a delta V of about 9.3, because we are actually, well, I get different numbers on this, but maybe 8 kilometers per second, and that'll give us, that's about 17,000 miles per hour, which we need to get into near Earth orbit. Okay, and so we got that that's what we want to do. We got a rocket that wants to go that direction. Now we got to have something coming out of the other end of the rocket, and this is the exhaust gases, the exhaust velocity of the gases coming out, and this is how fast propellants squirt out of the nozzle. And we crank this into this big mess called the rocket equation. Okay, now I've got kind of a simplified version here. It's really a differential equation, and I was going to prove it to you, but you'd all be all asleep except maybe for one guy who's probably going to find errors in my calculations. So what I'm just going to tell you is what the rocket equation is and what it boils down to. Okay, what we want to know is the percent of the mass of the rocket that has to be propellant. That's what the rocket equation tells us. And that percent of the mass, which is the mass of the entire rocket plus propellant, is the mass of the propellant divided by the mass of the rocket plus propellant. In other words, the whole thing, the percentage that has to be propellant, is equal to, get your pens out, okay, 1 minus E taken to some power, okay? Now, E is the natural logarithm, which is 2.51 something or other. It's found all over physics, all over biology, all over engineering. It's everywhere. In finance, it's everywhere. And it's also here in rocket science. Okay, now, this exponent is minus delta V, which again is how fast you want the rocket to go, divided by the velocity of the gases expelled. So that's the exponent. E, the base of natural logarithms to that exponent, and subtract it from 1, and that gives you the mass ratio, okay, which is the amount of rocket that has to be propellant. Okay, now it gets better. How much time I got here? Okay, so where do you want to go? Well, let's say we go to near Earth orbit. Okay, you're going to have to, delta V is going to have to be about 8 kilometers per second. So we have to obtain this particular velocity, or we're not going to get there. To the moon, it takes to low lunar orbit, from Earth orbit to low lunar orbit, delta V is about 4 kilometers a second, and from low Earth orbit to Mars, it's approximately 16 kilometers per second, and it's only 4 kilometers per second to the Mars transfer orbit. So, Pettit very succinctly put that the giant step for man was not stepping from the moon, from the Apollo to the moon. It was actually, the giant step for man was really reaching Earth orbit, because it takes as much energy from going from the Earth to near Earth orbit than it goes from near Earth orbit to anywhere else, including Mars. Okay, note that to go from Earth to near Earth orbit, more than half the velocity to go anywhere else. Also, Earth's surface to low Earth orbit is approximately that as to go from low Earth orbit to the surface of Mars. Okay, but you didn't know that. Yeah, well, I didn't either until I talked to Pettit. So what kind of propellants do we have? We got solar rockets, and they can only get us to 2.7 kilometers per second. That's the exhaust velocity. Kerosene, O2, that's what the Soyuz used, and I believe that's what Saturn V used. That's 2.8 kilometers per second. Okay, you got these, what they call hypergolic chemicals that react to each other when you just mix them, they spontaneously ignite. For instance, hydrogen peroxide and nitrogen tetroxide. And we're not talking the hydrogen peroxide you buy over at Walmart. We're talking about 99% hydrogen peroxide, not 5%. And then hydrogen tetroxide, nitrogen tetroxide is so toxic that, you know, it's bring out the hazmat suits. And the other one that we use, which is the most energetic, okay, the hypergols only can get like 2.9 kilometers per second. It's topped out by hydrogen O2, which SpaceX uses in their rockets, which is 4.4. And that's the best that we can do so far. So if you take these rocket propellants and you crank them into the rocket equation, we can come up with a result. And I don't know how much time I got here. Let's see, I don't want to run over time. I only got a couple minutes. Tom, maybe I should continue this next time because this stuff's really cool, and I got some things that what the rocket equation really tells us what we can do, and then there are some conclusions I'd like to draw. So I'd like to save that for next time because I can't get to it tonight. So I'm going to kick it back to Net, and again, thanks for listening. I hope you find it interesting. I think you will when you get to hear all of it. This is KG5P.
Hi, Mike. Well, I appreciate it, and thank you. I appreciate your efforts in tonight's topic. And yeah, go ahead and set it up for next week, and we'll continue at that time. This is KE5ICX. We're pretty close to the end right now, so what I'll do is I'll take final check-ins this evening. Anybody who'd like to join us who has not done so, please come now with your call sign, name, where you're transmitting from. I will put you on the list. Please come now.
Completely operational, and all my circuits are functioning perfectly. Afterglow Movie Net. This is Kilo India 5, Echo Whiskey Echo from Debellum.
All right, I got two more. I got NT5PM, Tony in Dallas. I think he's ready for the late night movie. And I got Kilo India 5, Echo Whiskey Echo over in Deep Ellum. Can I get your name, please?
The name's James. It's my first time transmitting. Do I sound all right?
Audio is perfect, and you are full quieting, so you got a good signal. Whatever you've done, just keep doing it. It's perfectly good. Let's see here. Okay, well, let's, I gotta go here. Next up, well, we're done. Let's see here. Let me go ahead and close it out because we've got a net coming up here in about 5 minutes. Tonight we had 29 check-ins, not too bad, participating in tonight's net, including myself. Thanks to all who checked in. We hope you'll join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, the sky is never the limit. We're also looking for net control stations and people interested in contributing to this net. If you'd like to try your hand at this, or you can contact any of the net controls by sending an email to nets@w5fc.org. You can also follow topics and discussions about this net and astronomy in general on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our audio and video feeds with video archives and other useful internet resources by going to whiskey5friedchicken.org at the conclusion of this net. Until next Saturday night, this is Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray, Tom, and I'll be closing the net at 22:30 local time and returning the repeater to amateur, regular, normal, or abnormal amateur use, at least for the next 5 minutes. 7-3 everybody, and enjoy discovering the universe. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. Go powder your noses. That's what we always do. And we'll be back to discuss another fine film, this one, My Science Project. That's at 10:35. So come back then. This is KE5ICX. I'm clear for now.
Anyone need to use the repeater before we begin the Afterglow net? Afterglow net is the net we have every Saturday night at about 10:30. Basically, it comes right after Skynet, where we discuss some fine film that our fearless leader selects. And tonight, he has given us my science project to view. So, I'm going to ask KE5 ICX, Tom, to give a synopsis of this movie. You there, Tom?
Let me look. Maybe I'm here. Maybe. Yeah, I'm here. This is KE5 ICX. I'll go ahead and give you the synopsis from the Deloitte, Haskins, and Sills heavily researched look at this film from 1985. This is what they say. My Science Project is a 1985 American comedy science fiction film directed by Jonathan R. Betuel. I bet he is. Although not performing as well as the movie follows on the heels of other teen sci-fi comedy films released the same year, here are some better films you may remember: Back to the Future, Real Genius, and Weird Science. Here's the plot. It's 1957. The United States military secures a crashed UFO in a hangar bay. President Dwight D. Eisenhower enters to see the craft and simply orders his men to get rid of it. In 1985, a high school senior named Michael Harlan, played by John Stockwell, whoever that is, whose only interest is muscle cars, reluctantly searches for something to turn in for his science class project final. While on what his bookworm friend, Ellie Sawyer, Daniel Von Zernick, played by Amy Carter, thinks is a date, Michael breaks into a government aircraft boneyard and stumbles upon a hidden fallout shelter. There he finds the glowing plasma globe-like piece of scientific equipment and grabs it just as the military guard approaches and chases him away. The next day, Michael cleans up the device in an auto shop class, where else, and unwittingly activates it, causing it to leech power from the nearby boombox. His friend, Vance Latino, tries to talk him out of attaching the device to an automotive battery, whereupon the device emits a swirl of colorful energy that manifests itself into an ancient Greek vase as the battery melts. The two leave the auto shop for their next class, but soon realize they've inexplicably lost 2 hours of time and missed their final science exam. After more strange occurrences with the machine, Michael takes his device, referred to as the Gizmo, to his ex-hippie science teacher, Dr. Roberts Dennis Hopper. Oh, wait, those are two people. Dr. Roberts, played by Dennis Hopper. Believe it to be a portal to another dimension, he plugs into an electrical outlet. While bathing in the cosmic energy of another dimension, While bathing in the cosmic energy of the Gizmo and contemplating the wonders of the universe, Robert suddenly disappears, leaving behind his peace symbol medallion. Michael is unable to disconnect the machine from the outlet and decides his only option is to destroy the power lines leading into town. Well, that eats up another 15 minutes, doesn't it? Michael and Vince obtain dynamite from the back room of a hardware store owned by Michael's father, played by Barry Corbin. Yeah, you remember him. He played the Army general in War Games, that guy. And race to outrun the wave of energy traveling along the lines before it reaches the local power plant. They blow up the tower, stopping the wave and causing a blackout, but upon returning to town are arrested by Dr. Roberts' disappearance. Michael calls Ellie and asks her to go to school to retrieve the gizmo, hoping to prove his innocence by showing it to the police. At the school, she runs into Sherman, an obnoxious nerd. I think we've seen him in stuff before. Bill Gates, who hooks the gizmo up to the outlet again, create a massive time warp over the school and causing a blackout in town, allowing Vince and Michael to escape the police. Returning to the school, they find the whole building is consumed by a vortex of space-time as objects and people from the past and future manifest around them and a crazed Sherman who fears the world is ending and tells them that Ellie is in danger. There's only 2 paragraphs left. Dragging Sherman along, Mike and Vince grab weapons from the platoon of fallen Vietnam War soldiers and make their way to the science lab, battling a T-Rex in the gymnasium and a mob of post-apocalyptic mutants along the way. They reach Ellie and successfully deactivate the gizmo, causing time to return to normal just as the emergency crews and police show up. Moments later, Dr. Roberts reappears, joining in an unexpected trip to Woodstock, and proudly gives Michael an A grade in his science project under condition that he gets rid of the machine, saying it's not something mankind is ready for. Roberts is then arrested by a local sheriff who thinks he blew up the power lines, as Michael had accidentally left Roberts' peace medallion at the hardware store. As promised, Michael returns the gizmo back to the junkyard where he found it. On the way back, the car runs out of gas and he and Ellie leave it by the side of the road. In contrast to his previous devotion, he says, it's just a car. Sniff, sniff, hug, hug. Great movie. Fade to black. This is KE5 ICX. Back to net control.
Thank you very much, Tom. All right, this is how it works. You check in, you give me your name, your call sign, name, QTH, and most importantly, whether or not you have seen the movie. And then when we're all through checking in, we go through the rotation, we talk about the plot, and then the characters, and then special effects. But we're not locked into that. If you have something else you want to say outside of the platform, you can do so. So we're going to take short time, low power first. Please come now.
Five, Juliet Delta Whiskey, John and Coppell.
K5JDW, John, did you see the movie?
Hey, Brenda, I have not seen the movie. I'll just be listening in the background, and I'll be short time intermittently. So, K5JW.
Okay, well, welcome to the net. Okay, let's take regular check-ins now.
In 5BB, Bill, Irving, yes, I saw it.
By speed, medium power, yes, I saw it. Oh, this is Mike, by the way, in Richards.
P5TM, just in case. This is Tony in Dallas, I saw it.
Kilo, Foxtrot 5, Tango, Sierra Kilo, Burl in Dallas. I did see the movie.
Kilo, Charlie 5, Romeo Alpha India, Charles here in Dallas.
This Whiskey 5, Echo Bravo Bravo, David in Dallas. I saw the movie.
Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray, Tom, Louisville. Yeah, I saw it.
Go Niners Victor, Michael, and Plano. Yes, I saw it, but I don't actually remember too much of it, and you guilty people know why. You know who you are.
Okay, N5BB, Bill, who did see the movie. K25T, Mike, he did see the movie. I need to learn to write one of these days. NT5TM, Tony, who did see the movie. KF5TSK, Burl, yes, he saw the movie. KC5, Romeo Alpha, India, Charles, don't know whether you saw the movie. Could you come back with that?
I've not seen the movie. I was just monitoring KC5RAI.
All right, well, it's good to have you here. W5EBB, David, who did see it. KE5ICX, Tom, who did see it. And WT9B, Michael, who did see it. Okay, do we have anybody on Echolink who wants to check in?
This is Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey, J, near Weatherford, and I did see the film.
Okay, I think we just have one on Echolink, that's KG5BZWJ, who did see the movie. Any other check-ins from any mode?
This Kilo Golf 5, Papa Mike, November, James, Fort Worth. I saw the movie.
Sorry, I missed part of your call. Would you come back with that and your name?
Kilo, Foxtrot 5, Papa, Delta, Sierra, Billy, Sherman, Echo Link. I did not see the film.
We have KF5PDS Billy, who did not see the film. And backing up the call just before that, I missed your call. Would you please fill me in on that?
This Kilo Golf 5, Papa Mike, November, James, Fort Worth. I saw the movie.
E5PMN James, who did see the movie. All right, anybody else want to check in?
Number 2, Victor India Papa. This is Ken in Las Colinas. I did not see the movie.
Okay, November 2, Victor India Papa. Ken, welcome to the net. All right, Scotty B50ZL, we're going to go ahead. We have N5 IMS, JJ and Carrollton, who's listening only. So, we're going to talk about the plot and your overall feel about the movie, whether you liked it or not. We're going to start with N5BB. Bill, go ahead.
N5BB. It was silly. Appears to me to be a conglomeration of various other movies from the late 70s and early 80s. and including the special effects and other things. And they just put them all together along with some coming-of-age high school kids movies, and just threw it all in a big pot, added a bunch of special effects, and thought they had a movie. But I kind of skipped over. I just didn't watch, really, the last 20 minutes. It was running, but I wasn't watching it or listening to it because it was too boring at the end. In 5BB.
Okay, next up, KG5P. Mike, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. Well, I really like this movie. I thought it was terrific. I really did. I'm serious. Yeah, it was a hodgepodge, but the thing was, it's a parody. It was supposed to be a parody. It was intended to be a parody. Unlike the movie we watched last week, it was a parody, but it didn't try to be. You know, all the pseudoscientific psychobabble and everything, it was just nonsense. This movie had the same stuff, but it was intended to be a parody, and the actors were, I thought some of the dialogue was very witty. You know, they had the Italian hoodlum kid, or maybe he wasn't a hoodlum, but he was from the Bronx or from Brooklyn or Jersey or something, you know, and he was always cracking jokes. And I thought that was great. I thought that the Dennis Hopper character was great. I always thought Dennis Hopper was a much better actor than Peter Fonda. Yeah, and he was playing his old Easy Rider, dope-smoking hippie role that he played, you know, in 1969. Sure. But I thought it was really great. It was what, this movie was what that movie, War Between the Planets, should have been if they'd have done it right. That's what I think. No, I'll agree with Bill. It got kind of boring toward the end, and the ending was kind of cheesy where the boy got the girl or the girl got the boy, whatever. But that was after all the characters had been developed, and I really enjoyed how they developed the characters. You know, they were calling the cop, you know, he was Kojak, and, you know, McCloud, you know, he's dressed up like McCloud. I mean, it had all the shtick in there. I mean, it was all there. That's why I liked it so much. Also, on the credits, they had the music was by Peter Bernstein. Now, I didn't look this up, and I probably should have to. Probably should do that. But I suspect he might be a younger brother of Peter Bernstein, he was the son of Elmer Bernstein. And I suspect that he's one of the little-known Bernstein brothers, who was also a good musician and a composer. And he just didn't make it, you know, like his father and his brother. I could be wrong about that, but I thought the movie was great. Everything was great. Special effects are great. I'm going to get me one of those plasma globes, and I'm going to get my grandsons, and I'm going to tell them the first one that touches it, I'll give $1 to, and then see what they do. So, but I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was great. Back to that KG5P.
Thank you, Mike. NT5TM, Tony, go ahead.
Thank you, Brenda, and good evening. Yep, I kind of agree with Mike. I mean, I wasn't wild about it, but if I'd have been homesick from school, this would have been just the perfect movie for me. Not very demanding of my attention, just full of goofy, silly stock characters and stock situations and tropes we've all seen in other movies. Just a pastiche of funny things with a little bit of wit and no, you know, good acting or serious plot to distract us. I do note that we saw Dennis Hopper's character using nitrous oxide or some sort of gas, and I think this movie came out before he did that in the much more serious movie Blue Velvet, so that was kind of neat.
The movie was a good example of practical nerdism. We got to see the protagonist always equipped with flashlights and a fire extinguisher, a healthy sense of adventure. He even used a radio to call for help, an 11-meter radio, admittedly, and AM, not SSB, but hey, he called for help on the radio. As the movie went on, of course, there were a lot of ridiculous things, like just, hey, let's plug it into a battery. That didn't work. Plug it into a wall outlet. Wait, there's not many things you can do that with. But I became more and more sure I must have seen this years and years ago. I remember his little magical metal specter. I remembered a lot of the lines, like pretending to be confused. Cap to the leg to the dynamite. So I must have seen this years ago. Of course, my favorite line was, when you're cool, the sun shines on you 24 hours a day. I don't think I'll be able to stay up for the whole net. I've got to head out on a road trip early in the morning, but I will be listening for the rest of the net, and I hope everyone else had some fun with this goofy piece and has some good comments. NT5TF.
Thank you, Tony. KM5TSK, Bull, go ahead.
This is KM5TSK. I thought this was a good movie to go get popcorn. They had lots of action to cover up all of the things that, all of the plot holes, and, we don't understand time warp or time travel. Let's go to the library, and all of a sudden, we know how to do it. We know how to plug it in. They end up in another time and place, and we grab weapons from Vietnam soldiers, and we're gonna slay the dinosaur. So many things were out of place, that we can grab a sword. We're an expert with it, and that's all the other person they trained with. And one thing that didn't really come across to me was this romance between Michael and Ellie. This wasn't convincing to me. Really a B movie with a C rating. K5TSK back to net.
Okay, let's see. W5EBB, David, you're up next.
Well, it's always good to go back and watch a movie that you didn't see before when it was originally released, and 20 or 30 years later, you get to watch it for the first time. And but this one wasn't a good movie. This one was. You could sort of imagine them pitching this movie to the studio. It's like, okay, we'll be like Ghostbusters special effects, which was released the year before, and something like the other movies that were mentioned released the same year. Real Genius, Weird Science, and of course Back to the Future. Combine all those, and maybe throw in a little American Graffiti too. But like we said earlier, it's kind of a hodgepodge. It didn't really work. But if there was something good about it, maybe it put a seed in somebody's mind to make Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure a few years later, which was a pretty good movie. But this one, not so much. W5EBB.
Okay, KE5ICX, Tom.
Well, thank you, Brenda. Okay, I have to agree and disagree, and that's cool because I thought the film was actually kind of fun, to be honest with you. It is one of those films where they glob onto lots of other films that came before it in order to monopolize and monetize whatever the heck was going on. So I saw that. Overall, though, I thought it was okay. It was fun. It had its moments. The two things I thought were really good were the special effects are actually very good for a kind of a second-rate motion picture. It actually added something, added some gravitas to the script itself that it didn't have otherwise. I thought that was quite helpful, and yeah, I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit. Peter Bernstein, who is the composer on this thing, is Elmer Bernstein's son, and they had collaborated on films later on, and I thought that it was actually pretty darn good. I had no problems with the music, and it actually added to the drama. So, yeah, I know I'm jumped ahead on it, but, you know, it was okay. The script was okay. It was kind of predictable in how they handled it, but it kind of was somewhat repetitious. I agree with that. They probably could have made it into about a 45-minute movie, and it would have been quite entertaining. But I'll have more to say about special effects, both special and non-special, later on. Characterization, oh boy, that's a whole different story. Back to Nat, KE5ICX.
Thank you, Tom. Next we have KG5BZWJ.
This is KG5BZW. I don't know what to say about this film. It didn't make sense. It wasn't really intended to make sense, though, as I saw it. It was kind of like a weird, I guess maybe sci-fi comedy. Maybe now I'm really wanting to see Ghostbusters because you know, the obvious intersection of worlds and whatnot, and I think there's just a lot that they tried to steal from films like that. I haven't seen Ghostbusters in forever, but my recollection of Ghostbusters is it's actually pretty funny, and there was stuff that just kind of, I agree that just kind of fell flat. I didn't hate the film, which was surprising, but it was kind of boring. I don't know. I thought even the most random parts, the last 20 minutes, which was probably the most random, was kind of the most fun to me, actually. It was the first half that really kind of was. It set it up, but it took too long to do it. It barely qualifies as a sci-fi. It's a hodgepodge of formulas, and it kind of works, but it kind of doesn't, and that's all I really have to say about it. KG5BZW.
Okay, KG5PMN. James, go ahead.
This is KG5PMN. I thought it was kind of a fun, just a teenage high school movie flick, and that had a little science fiction thrown in with it, and they did a lot of the antics that high school kids kind of did, and painting the car or covering the car up and with the white stuff, and did have a kind of an issue with the professor taking a hit off the bottle. It looked like it said oxygen, which wouldn't do anything for him, and even if it was a nitrous oxide, one hit like that off a nitrous bottle wouldn't do anything for him either. He'd have it blown back out as soon as it went in. That's just the way nitrous works. I thought the ending was, toward the ending was kind of boring, where they were fighting all the past people and future people, and I just thought maybe it was a kind of a fun film. KG5PMN, back to the net.
Okay, KF5PDS, Billy. You didn't see the movie, but do you want to say anything?
Yeah, thanks, Brenda. Yeah, a lot of the movies, I love movies from the 80s, and I missed seeing this one. I didn't see it back in the day, and I missed seeing it this week. So maybe I'll go watch it at some point. But yeah, some movies they borrow a little too much, and then it kind of falls flat or it doesn't work. Or if it, sometimes movies, if they are not sure what it wants to be, they try to borrow from a bunch of different tropes and put it together. So I don't know if this movie if it appears slapdash or, 'cause sometimes people will just slap different tropes together and it's like, clearly it's an amalgam of different things. And some people are able to do it and put their own little twist on it and make it, kind of present it a little bit, with a different take. So I'm not sure where this falls, but I'm enjoying everybody's comments and things. But anyway, I guess I'll return it to you. I don't really have much to say. This is KF5PDS back to
VIP, Ken, you didn't see the movie, but do you have any comments about, would you please explain time travel to us?
I think I'm out of range. Are you getting me? VIP.
I didn't quite understand everything, but it sounds like you don't have comments. So you can always jump in later. Next up, WT9V Michael. You saw the movie. What do you think?
Time travel. I think I explained that to you next week. Don't you remember? Think back. First, I had one of those plasma globes some years ago. It never opened a warp in space-time, and I'm a little disappointed. I double-checked, but it got stolen from me. There's really not much to say about the plot. It kind of went from one thing to another, fairly predictable for teen movies and stuff. Yeah, but it was amusing, but not much to comment on. And I think, personally, all the problems started when they plugged it into the wall outlet, because clearly the device wasn't designed for U.S. power, 120 volts, 60 hertz. It probably would have worked great on 240, 50 hertz. I think that's the problem. You got to be careful when you plug things into the wrong outlets. Now, people have mentioned real genius, but this movie was no real genius because it didn't have anywhere near enough lasers. Lasers! WT9V.
Okay, we'll try and find a movie that has lasers for you. Okay, I enjoyed the movie. I had never seen it before. It was a nice popcorn movie, but it's in that genre of, they call it teen adventure. I prefer to think of it as, boy, nerds can also have a life. You may be a nerd, but look, you can have adventures too, and come out on top. So, I think a lot of people identify with that. The hapless loser, not exactly a loser, but he's not the star of the show, of the school, and somehow comes out on top in the end. So I like that. I still kind of think it was Bill and Ted and Beavis and Butthead going on an adventure together. Why are these kids so stupid? First of all, if I found something like that, a mysterious instrument, I think I'd be very wary of it. And they just did everything with it, and often to bad end. So it doesn't strike me as very smart. And I know a lot about science projects. You can't just bring out a machine that you found and put it on the table and, get any kind of credit for it. You're going to want an explanation, or want you to do something, or maybe you actually did something rather than just stumble upon it. But maybe that's just a little bit picky on my part. All right, do we have any more check-ins? All right, going back to the top, we're going to talk about characterization. And let's start with N5BB, Bill.
This is N5BB. Well, by the way, I didn't say I hated the movie. It just was silly. Anyway, characterization. Well, the characters were rather predictable. They, you could put them in these categories of other movies, and there was the protagonist who was male. There was his sidekick that was a goofball. There was his old girlfriend who was a prima donna. There was his new girlfriend who was kind of smart, but not too smart, just kind of a smart gal. There was the wacko science teacher. There was a policeman that everybody hated, and were kind of goofy. And the security guard at the place that was inept at best. And there was a government military site with a break in the fence where they could get in and out so easily without anybody catching them. I don't know. It was very predictable to me. It's just a formula movie. But yeah, I guess they were characterizations, and they fit very well within those, but it was all formula. Not very interesting to me. Inside BB.
Okay, KG5P, Mike.
Okay, this is KG5P. Well, I mean, I agree with Bill. Yes to all the above. But I still liked it because it was intentionally goofy. It's like the Three Stooges, you know? I mean, you either like the Three Stooges or you hate them. And this one was borderline slapstick. And you either like slapstick or you hate it. It had all the stereotypes. You know, it had the kid that liked to work on cars. Okay, he had the hot girlfriend that he wasn't really interested in, and his date was taking her under a car and working on the car. And she didn't like it because he got his hands dirty or something. His sidekick, who was kind of the foil. But the thing about the sidekick is he's the kind of kid I wish I was when I was in high school, because he thought all of the good one-liners, and I was never that clever to spontaneously come up with one-liners. So I was jealous of the sidekick. And then you also had the nerd guy, with the horn-rimmed glasses and the slide rule sticking in his shirt pocket, but he wasn't really your typical nerd guy. American Graffiti, he also had some witty one-liners, and so he's kind of a contradiction there. So I never quite got the nerd guy, because he wasn't 100% nerd guy. He was more like the slapstick sidekick. And then you had the girl, who was not unattractive, but she never had a date in high school, and she was begging for a date because otherwise she'd be voted most likely to be the spinster to succeed, or something like that was her, something to that effect. So it wasn't 100%, but it was about maybe 90%, and Yeah, it's like American Graffiti. Will I watch it again? Probably not, but I enjoyed it when I watched it. You know, Dennis Hopper was playing his 1968 Easy Rider role, except this time they made him a teacher and put him in a position of authority. I don't know how long a real teacher would be able to hold their jobs, you know, second nitrous and stuff in class and all of that. But again, you know, it ain't the real world. It was funny, I thought, you know, but I like that kind of stuff. Back to that KG5P.
Okay, KF5TSK Bo, go ahead.
PSK. Well, I agree with, you know, all of Bill's comments. You know, all of the characters were pretty, you know, stock in what they did, but beginning of the movie, I just wasn't impressed that, you know, Michael was really a mechanic. You know, and if you're a mechanic, you know, you can probably build something that's science project. You know, the security guard in that was watching over the boneyard where the planes were, you know, he had a dog with him. It's like these people snuck in and he didn't turn the dog loose. He was just carrying the dog along like he was walking the dog. So it didn't seem real that you know, you're going to outrun a dog, a guard dog. And like I said, it was so many things that, you know, they just came across as heroes that, you know, we took this weapon away from someone and, you know, we were, you know, instantly proficient with it. You know, and I don't think even Ellie was you know, convincing. Ellie didn't seem to be she didn't really seem to be nerdy, but you know, she didn't seem to be expecting romance. Camp 5 TSK back to net.
All right. Let's see. W5EBB, David.
Well, back in the day, I made a solar-powered oven as a science fair project, and if I'd only added the time travel plug-in, I might have gotten best in fair, but alas, I did not. Characters are more like caricatures. You know, most of them are just formula stereotypes, very, you know, one-dimensional, but that's what they're supposed to be. Barry Corbin and Dennis Hopper in this movie, you know, could have kind of upped the ante a little bit, but you know, they were fairly shallow characters too. But I do like many of the movies they've both been in. But I think my favorite character was the T-Rex. I mean, he nailed that character. I mean, that's great acting, and it was kind of sad when he died. And no, I wasn't crying when it happened. It must have been allergies or something. W5EBB.
E5ICX, Tom, go ahead.
I agree with most of the comments so far. The acting and the characterization. Oh, let's talk with characterization. Is very formulaic. Hello, John Stockwell playing Michael Harlan. He, you know, it's really funny is that he was just, what was he doing? He was being every comment he made whenever he was with his soon-to-be girlfriend Ellie was the breathy voice. yeah, I'm super cool, and that would give you an opportunity, and then the girl was supposed to go, or something like that. I don't know. It was very, very weird that way. But it was all this breathy stuff, and I don't know. In any case, it was kind of weird and that. But they got together, and then eventually battled the dinosaur. I agree. I think the best character in all of this was the dinosaur. Not Dennis Hopper, which is who you're thinking the dinosaur was. No, not Dennis Hopper. It was the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Reason. That's the one. It had the best action reaction to everything. And yes, we were all unhappy when it died. It was like Jurassic Park with dinosaurs you cared about. And in this case, I missed that dinosaur. I think we should have a moment of silence for the dinosaur. Let's pause for 5 for the dinosaur.
You had your 5. Continue.
You ruined it. The dinosaur will never be remembered exactly the way the dinosaur should have been remembered. But in any case, I thought it was pretty good in regards to, well, the characters were bad. I mean, we've seen this before, and they've been in other movies and that. But I didn't dislike it. I thought the characters were kind of fun in their droll, boring sort of way. But in the end, they pulled it off, and everything was fine. And I'll bet there was a sequel to this movie. They tried to make a sequel, tried to make it look like there might be a sequel, but there wasn't a sequel. Now, Robert Beer, let's not make fun of his name, Robert Beer, B-E-E-R, which I'm sure is a stage name. He played Dwight D. Eisenhower. Who can't love, the supreme commander of Allied forces during World War II? He nailed it. KE5ICX, back to net control.
Did you know Dwight Eisenhower was also president at one time?
What was it? Interstate thing. KE5ICX.
Okay, next up, KG5BZWJ.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Bravo to the Whiskey. Yeah, very formulaic characters stuff. I'm going to vote that the second half's better. I disagree with my fellow net members here, just because the randomness didn't make any sense. It wasn't supposed to make any sense. The part that was supposed to make sense is what annoyed me. I mean, I just kind of find it hard to believe that a card geek just well, I forgot the character's name, but he didn't come up with some sort of a little bit of an experiment with his car. He messes with it all the time. Messing with it is a form of experimentation. The whole plot point of the film is based on him not being able to have a project, but he's a car geek. Anyway, I don't know what else to say about that. The characters, I mean, of course, it follows the formula of change of, okay, the geeky girl turns out to be nice and blah, 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 but whatever, it's the same thing, routine over and over. But anyway, I got nothing. KG5BCJ.
Okay, K5PMN, James.
This is KG5PMN. I don't know what else to add to the characters that somebody hasn't already mentioned. The one thing I did find, I don't know if it was confusing or how you want to say it, but when the Professor Dennis Hopper mentioned that he was going to go to a war protest or something like that, and then he could come back at 9 o'clock and was grading papers at 9 o'clock at night, and the kids could bring their science project in at that time. I don't know. I don't know what kind of war he'd be protesting in 1985, but I guess there could have been something. Unless he was flashing back to 20 years earlier. KG5PMN, back to the net.
Like a time machine? So he was still protesting the Vietnam War, even though it was long over. KFIPS, Billy, go ahead.
Well, I don't have any comments for this round, so I'm just going to sit back and listen for the rest of the net, and can't wait to hear what we are going to do for next week. This is KF5PDS, back to net.
Keeps getting better every week. Into VIP. I wasn't sure whether you wanted to speak again, but we're going to give you a chance now. Okay, he must have left. Okay, WT9V, Michael, go ahead.
The first thing I want to say is it always annoys me when in the movies, when the smart people are always ugly and awkward and, wear these huge glasses. It's just so, stereotypical. I guess it's, Hollywood does it because it's simple. These are the smart ones, these are the dumb ones, now you know who's who. I don't know. The dumb kids are pretty and handsome, and the smart ones are ugly. I mean, why do they have to do that? Tom can explain this to me later after the movie, or after the net. And I have to agree, the T-Rex was the best character. I remember saying that when I was watching it, although Silicon Graphics did build a better dinosaur. WT9V.
Yeah, I'm so glad they used a real dinosaur instead of some fake FX. Yeah, we liked him. He was pretty cool. And, but, maybe he'll come back like Spock. Maybe he has a name in search of blank T-Rex. He was kind of small, though. They're really, 50 feet tall in real life. Yeah, the characters are simple, but that's true of a lot of teen movies. Characters are not very complex, and I wouldn't try and say it's because real teenagers aren't complex. I think it's just not what they want to see. They want to see something a little simpler, more straightforward. And yeah, I agree with the point of how you know he's dumb. He's got glasses and it's not very pretty, and the bookish girls are always a little bit homely. It's so stereotypical, but it's true about adults in movies as well, especially in science fiction movies. Let's see. What else? I guess that's all I've got for now. This is WV5OZL. Do we have any more check-ins? People ran away from this. Okay, back to the top. special effects. We're going to start with N5BB. Go.
N5BB. Well, there was a lava lamp. Did you see the lava lamp that Dennis Hopper had? Oh, boy. Of course, the big special effect was the arcing globe. And then all of the weird glowing things and other things that came out of it, the machine. But I'm ignoring the last part of the movie because, like I say, I was bored by it. I didn't think there was much of a plot to the last part other than just throwing in a bunch of special effects and trying to distract people from the fact there was no plot. Oh, by the way, Dennis Hopper said he was going to something like a protesters' it was a group of old protesters. It was a what am I trying to say? Not a retirement meeting, not a reenactment meeting. Whatever you do, if you did something years ago and you all go to a meeting about that topic, that's what the protesters thing was. That was the meeting. Anyway, special effects I wasn't impressed because it looked to me like they copied everything in all these other movies in late 70s and early 80s, and they just dumped them all in this movie. In 5BB.
I think you're looking for the word reunion. If that's what he was doing, a reunion of war protesters, how quaint. KG5P. Mike, go ahead.
This is KG5P. I was going to say reunion too, but beat me to it. Yeah. I don't know if they still have any of those or not. They had a Woodstock reunion recently. The thing about how much they paid the musicians, I don't know, Jimi Hendrix got paid, I don't know, $100 or something like that. The tickets cost $2 or $3, and one guy says he bought the tickets mail order, and they mailed them to him. A reunion. Well, yeah, the special effects were. They weren't cheesy, but they were stock, you know? I mean, the whole thing was parody. It was just a big conglomeration, a big amalgam, a big mishmash of 20 other movies. So, but it was, you know, that was the intention, that was the goal. I just timed out my talkie here. It beeps on me when I talk too long. I got to go ahead and figure out where to set it in the software. But yeah, I mean, it was exactly what you saw was what you got. You saw exactly what it was. No pretension, and that was it. It was the real deal. KG5P.
Okay, KF5PSK Burl, go ahead.
This is KF5PSK. Well, I had two things that really bothered me, that they were going to outrun a electrical charge on the power lines. And, you know, we outdrove it, and we have time to, you know, set up and put the dynamite on, and we, you know, blew up the power lines to keep the charge from, I guess, going back to the power plant. Another thing that really stuck out was they fired a gun at a door to keep someone from coming through, and I could see I guess the fire coming out of the gun, but nothing really happened to the door. It was like, this is really a goof. Yeah, that's really a good one. I wasn't really impressed, but the thing that really bothered me was they had such leaks, and all of a sudden we understand time travel, and we'll plug this in, and we won't do that, and let me show you how I can hold this arc in my hand, and there was just too many things that was too much to be believable. K5 TSK back to that.
Okay, W5EBB, you're up next.
The special effects were pretty good. Like I said, it looked very much like the Ghostbusters style, with the lightning effects and the tornadic vortex. They were done pretty well. The prop special effects, such as the plasma globe, it looked like it was something they picked up at Spencer's at the mall, where you could also later get the Borg alcove recharging station circular plasma light. Now, personally, if my Borg alcove recharging station is down, my backup is my plasma globe. One thing about going back to these movies is they're dated quite a bit, but they also date yourself if you were around at that time. Things like typewriters, carburetors, the big glasses with the big frames and big lenses, and fashion as well, like the guys wearing the hybrid muscle shirt T-shirt with high short sleeves, and a few other things like the fallout shelter. At the beginning of the movie, that's what he falls into. It's even got the the circular sign, which is yellow with the three black triangles. And they were even outdated at the time of this movie. They were really being built everywhere in the 60s, early 60s, but they stopped making new ones in the 70s. In fact, in New York City now, in 2017, they removed those signs, in large part because they don't want anybody going there because there's no food or medicine in any of them. So fallout shelters also dated, apparently. The library, with the fog and the different rooms they were going into, that looked like what you would also find in the 80s, which was a laser tag attraction, often appended to bowling alleys, and it looked a lot like that. It just looked like an elaborate laser tag arena. Now I happen to have, I had for a long time a home version of that, and it's pretty fun. It actually worked pretty well. Anyway, W5EBB.
Okay, K5ICX. Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Brenda. This is KE5ICX. I guess I don't have a lot to add on the whole thing as far as the special effects. I thought overall they did a good job, and I agree. It had sort of that Ghostbusters look to it. The hand created effects, which is obvious through that. The computers and all of that, with the preciseness of it isn't there. So there's kind of got that organic, although a little bit of a fake look to it, which is fine. I don't mind that at all. The other parts of it, let's see, the gizmo, I agree what's been said before. The gizmo is very obviously stuff that was the plasma globe that was available then. It was very popular, and you touch this thing. I think I had one of those things. I just realized that I lost it like 30 years ago. I don't know where it went. It must have rolled under the bed. I'm going to go check my bed and see if it's underneath there, because I'd forgotten that I had one of those, and now it's gone. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had one of those things. Yeah, I did have one of those. Anybody want to take a few moments for the dinosaur? In any case, overall, I thought the special effects were not bad. I thought they worked for the time that it came out, 1985. Jeez, we watched Star Trek II, which had kind of special effects when it came to like props and things like that. They were pretty terrible if you think about it. But in any case, I didn't mind them. I thought that it worked out okay, and yeah, they did the whole thing. Grease is the word, by the way. Back to net control, KE5ICX.
Okay, KG5BZW, special effects.
KG5BZW. I was kind of confused by a previous comment. Kind of derailed my train of thought. Fallout shelters? I don't know. Because I was just thinking, I was like, well, I knew a fallout shelter in downtown Fort Worth that, it had the fallout shelter sign for years, like into the 21st century, and then I think they finally removed it, but anyway, whatever. I totally missed that part of the film. The plasma balls, they sell those at the museum today, or not that long ago. Anyway, I bought I think last year. I know Radio Shack used to sell those a lot. I guess in 1985, those are new enough that they could have been used in a movie, but I'm not sure that there's anything I can really say that hasn't already been said about the special effects. Of course, I think the props were actually better. Of course, we mentioned the T-Rex and all. The future men were kind of cool, or future warriors, I guess. There were lasers. Well, in the sci-fi movie sense, not actual laser. I mean, what were they firing? They were laser sci-fi whatevers. Phasers. Oh, what are they called in Star Wars? I can't think. I'm too rambly. I can't really think of much. But of all the things to complain about or anything, I think they did okay on the special effects, especially since that's kind of the whole film. I mean, really. Anyway, KG5BZW.
And if they were real, the blooper reels from that movie would have been hilarious. Okay, let's see if I can find my place. See who is next. KG5PMN, James.
AI5FKM, Kilo India 5, Foxtrot Kilo Mike.
This is KG5PMN. Thought the special effects looked fairly good. They didn't look too much like they were added on to, an add-on like some of the older special effects are that are obviously fake, but thought they looked pretty good, and I'm thinking the spiral cloud up in the sky, it was from something else, but I can't think of what it was, but that kind of look familiar as for something else. Back to the net, KG5PMN.
Okay, James. See. People are dropping out here. KI5FKM. You checked in, and your name, please.
KI5FKM, this is Chris. Just checking in. I'm on going up the tollway.
Did you want to have a comment on our movie?
Oh, I just, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Okay, well, welcome to the net. I think next is WT9V Michael. Go ahead.
Wait, what? Oh, sorry, I was napping, I think. No. Honestly, I didn't think that the special effects was all that much. I mean, there were a lot of flashy lights, but real special effects? Not really. I mean, the dinosaur, our friend the dinosaur, maybe have a few moments of peace. Okay, very quick moments, but I think that was the majority of the special effects. The rest of them were kind of like, like one of the things I did notice was, firing the blanks at the door, and they're like, I'm sure if you were hitting the door with a machine gun like that, there would be holes in it, but there weren't. And what is this carburetor thing you speak of? I mean, I've worked years very hard to forget about those troublesome things. Stop reminding me, David. And, Tom, please go check. Is there a strange glow coming from under your bed? And, the final thought I had was watching the movie. It's like, oh, crud, we brought a machine gun to a ray gun fight. Yeah, but it turned out the machine gun did pretty well. WT9V.
Yes, indeedy. I pretty much agree with everybody. The special effects were kind of so-so, but it was okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't really cheesy special effects like so many movies have. So I thought it was okay. Okay, I think we're at the end of the line here. So, are there any additional check-ins at this point? Okay, we're going to go around again. If you want to have one more thing to say, please come now with your call sign, and we'll go around in order. Okay?
EBB.
KE5I6.
Okay, W5EBB, what you got?
Well, this movie did elicit some nostalgia for Ghostbusters, because it was a little bit similar, at least in special effects. The 1984, of course, it's worth a rewatch, but I was just going to mention to Jay, KG5BZW, if you haven't seen the 2016 version, the remake of Ghostbusters with Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig, that's actually pretty good. It's pretty funny. W5EBB.
All right, KE5ICX. Go ahead, Tom.
Thanks, Brenda. I just wanted to bring up one of the things that was really very good about this film was the music. I kind of jumped the gun earlier on the first round. Peter Bernstein did the music from, he is the son of Elmer Bernstein, who is one of my favorite composers of all time. I thought the score was really well done. And he's done other stuff too. He did the music for Canadian Bacon from 1995, which is not bad. Wild Wild West from 1999, a nice little tribute thing to the Wild Wild West, which I thought was very good. He did, I don't know, this thing called Ewoks, The Battle from Endor. All right, I'm going to tell you something. One of the things that he does really well is he channels his dad very well. Elmer Bernstein is well known for the music he did for The Magnificent Seven. He's done other scores which are really great, and I think that it really added to this movie. As such as it is, I know that people didn't think it was all that good, and I agree, it was sort of a so-so movie, but I think the music really added to it and did a really good job. And unfortunately, I don't know, the last thing he did was from 2001. Oh, wait, Masters of Horror from 2005, so I gotta check. He's still alive, but maybe he's not doing music. He's 68 years old. He's old. Oh, jeez, I'm old. All right, enough of this. KE5ICX.
Okay, last call for anybody to check in and or say anything.
WT9V.
WT9V, go ahead.
Tom, you're only as old as you feel, and by that gauge, I'm about 117. WT9V.
I'm sticking with 38. So, regardless of how I feel, that's how old I am. Okay, I think it's time to open the box and see what's in it. KE5ICX, what do you have for next week?
Hang on, I have to look, because I did this 3 weeks ago. Oh, here it is. All right, everybody, write this down and synchronize watches. The Coneheads from 1993. We get another science fiction comedy. That will be next week. The Coneheads, the movie from the Saturday Night Live thing from the original group, done as a movie in 1993. KE5ICX.
Alright, that sounds good. We have 16 check-ins tonight, which is pretty good. That might even be a record for this net. So I want to leave with a parting comment on Wikipedia. They mentioned that this film glimmers with moments of drollery. There's a term I haven't heard in a while. You can look it up. But they're right. It does. All right. I'm going to shut it down, and we will see you all next week. This is WB50ZL Clear.
Stereotyping of smart people and dumb people in movies in your normal, deep dive way.
And is a dinosaur smart or dumb?
Ooh, that's a good question.
or dumb? Inside BB.
That's a rhetorical question. Are dinosaurs smart or dumb? Well, we don't have any more dinosaurs, or do we?
Chirp, chirp, chirp.
I don't know. I've worked with a few.
You notice Tony always has dinosaurs at his house.
I think dinosaurs are still around. Wait a minute. We got to ask a question about the tardigrades. Are they dinosaurs? Are they really? Okay, E5 Ice here.
They would be after a few generations on the moon.
They're ugly. Look at them. I mean, although they may be kind of cuddly, they're ugly cuddly, and they're really tiny. They are weird. that's the best description of them. Send them to the moon.
It's pretty hard to cuddle something that I think you have to have an electron microscope to see.
Well, just imagine how big they'll get on the moon with such little gravity and no air pressure. W5 UVB.
Elvis has left the building.
And all that cosmic radiation.
We could genetically engineer them to be bigger.
They'll get bigger with all that radiation on the moon.
In middle school, my brother bought some irradiated seed, and he planted, I'm trying to think what he planted, whatever it was. But they were irradiated to see if they would grow to be huge or something. And I can't remember exactly what happened, but I remember it was like from the back of Popular Science or something, or back of a comic book. Buy the irradiated seed so you can see if you get genetic mutations.
Wait. I seem to recall, you know what? I think the tardigrades are great because they're tardigrades and they make the grade, and therefore they're great. But the thing about them is really cool is that they look like little bears. Only you can prevent global annihilation.
True to say forest fires, but that was Smokey the Bear. I didn't know how you could connect Smokey the Bear with bears on the moon. Barrett, Tom. Police story. I'm watching Dr. Smith on Lost in Space. Oh, what a depressing face he has.
Mike, you have permission. Go ahead.
Well, I'm looking up tardigrades on Wikipedia. You know, I was a biology student once. One of my undergraduate degrees is in biology because I thought I wanted to be a veterinarian. Obviously didn't make it. That was okay because I could deal with the animals. It's their owners that I couldn't handle. Anyway, tardigrades, they have like 4 pairs of legs, or so they really have like 8 legs. So they're more. They're not like arachnids, but they're not dinosaurs either. Not even close. They're kind of in their own phylum. Now, dinosaurs are sort of a generic term. I mean, I guess we like to think of them as reptiles.
W5FC.
But I mean, they got dinosaurs with feathers. They got dinosaurs that are warm-blooded. So you can't, it's kind of just a for lots of different things. But tardigrades, some interesting critters, all right. But they're not dinosaurs in any sense. Then somebody said something else, but I forgot what it was. I was going to comment on that too, but unless it slaps me in the back of the head, which it probably will as soon as I unkey, I'll pass it back. KG5B.
Hey, this sounds like science fiction. Listen to this. The tardigrade genome has been sequenced, and it has the most foreign DNA of any animal. Scientists have sequenced the entire genome of the tardigrade, also known as the water bear, for the first time. It turns out this weird little creature has the most foreign genes of any animal studied so far. Or to put it another way, roughly 1/6 of the tardigrade genome was stolen from other species. Stolen! It's about 1 millimeter long, only animal known that can survive the harsh environment of space. It can withstand temperatures from just above absolute zero to well above the boiling point of water. Can cope with ridiculous amounts of pressure and radiation. Can live for more than 10 years without food or water. It's nearly impossible to kill. And the DNA, it's gotten from other animals, which is weird. Inside BB.
KG5P.
Back to the moon.
KG5P.
Right.
Well, this can only mean one thing, Bill. Obviously, genetically engineered by space aliens. There's no other explanation.
Well, actually, there is. It indicates we should not have discontinued our moon germ quarantine procedures for the later Apollo missions.
They mutate into giant tardigrades and eat us next time we land on the moon.
Well, that was
Too cuddly to eat us.
It would make for a good sci-fi movie, though. The Bad News Water Bears. W5EBB.
Oh, that's funny. Hey, when I type in, when using the DuckDuckGo browser, when I search engine, the search engine, when I type in tardigrade, and then I start to type in VET, some of the possible choices it gives me are tardigrade veterans, tardigrade veterinary clinic, tardigrade veterinary hospital. But I really can't find a tardigrade veterinary hospital. That would be really interesting if I could.
Well, where do you think tardigrades go when they get sick?
Some of those web browsers write code on search engines. I'm really surprised you don't get a window that comes up and says, buy your tardigrade on Amazon or at Target. K5 JDW.
Oh, there is a paid ad. VCA veterinarians near you. That's when I search for tardigrade veterinary hospital. The paid ad is the pets.vcahospitals.com. $25 first exam. Ooh. Early detection of heart or arthritic conditions. Somehow I don't think you could find an arthritic condition in a tardigrade.
Well, he got 8 legs. Why wouldn't you?
I think they only have 4.
No, he got 4 pair. 4 times 2, that'd be eight legs, no doubt about it. That's why they have arthritis problems.
You're so right. I'm looking at it here again. Oh my. They've also got weird sex, weird reproduction. Anyway, the young, when they hatch, when the eggs hatch, already have all the cells they'll have as adults. So growing to the adult size, they do it by the individual cells getting larger, but there's no cell division. However, they can molt up to 12 times. Oh boy. Oh well. Gotta go, guys. N5BB clear.
Okay, well, we can't talk about their sex because this is a family repeater.
Maybe double jointed.
Oh, I haven't seen any pictures of them doing contortions, so I would say that's unlikely, but then I haven't seen all the tardigrades.
Are there tardigrades?
I mean, like there's 2 of them.
So that means like they're in a tasty sauce.
I thought it was like the near beer I drink when I'm beside myself.
Will be a discussion for ham fixins. Good night, all. K5JW.
Hey, good night. Yeah, it's still early for me. Nice and balmy outside, too. Best time of the day.
Oh no, N5BB is still here, trying to leave, but thinking about ham fixings, I can just see Randy with a special sauce you can cook your tardigrades in. You can have tartar. You can have tardigrade tartar, steak tartar, but it's not from beef steak, it's from tardigrade steak. N5BB is really clear.
When you cook them, would you have to cook them in centigrade or tardigrade?
Thought he was going to say you had to eat it with tartar sauce. Oh well. I'm really gone. K5JW.
Okay, well, no, we already did that show. You got to come up with something else.
We're going to turn this thing off. That was the second double, guys, just to let you know. K5JDW. Clear. W5FC.
WT9V. I think somebody's saying I doubled with you, Tom.
Not I. I was listening. Please continue. Okay, E5ICX, tardigrade.
What's about your new pins?
Well, I'm going to bed soon. I have 100 pens that were sent to me. I have a pen pal who sent me 100 pens, all with incorrectly printed things on them, having to do with the fact that, you know, you give away pens, right? You give away pens, and these pens do great things. You're able to write things down. And on the outside of the pen comes things that you say, oh, wow, I could use that wonderful service. I can do these wonderful things, but I've got this pen. I can write things down, and then suddenly I can also use them to do important things, whatever. You know, George Washington could have used a pen like this and said, you know what, go across to Delaware, and it would have given a phone number and a URL to tell you where to do that. Last week, I had no pens for TechNet. None of them worked. And somebody, I won't mention who, sent me 100 frickin' pens in the mail. And I have them right here. If you are watching the video, which nobody's, well, there are 4 people watching the video. There they are. There are the pens, zillions and zillions. No, actually 98 pens, because now I pulled 2 out. So 98 pens are inside of this glass enclosure now that I'm putting off to the side so that no net is lost because I didn't have a pen that worked. And to be honest with you, the pens in this drawer that I've been using for the last 10 years were all drying up. Yeah, I'm old. KE5 ICX.
Well, sounds like maybe you have 100 pens now that don't work. KU5B.
I might suggest you put them all on the wall and sing an old familiar beer song as you're using each one of them. K5JW.
Right, wait a minute. Let me give you some examples of these pens. And thank you, Michael. Victor, you sent me these pens. Here's one. These are defective pens. It says Salty Paws from the Animal Hospital at 208 North 2nd Street, Flagler Beach. Somewhere, nobody knows where, it says Flagler Beach, and it gives me a phone number. That's an example of a pen gone bad.
Call the phone number and see who answers.
All right, the next one I have is a pen that says, now listen carefully, it says E-Assist. It's on a pen that is so clear I can barely read this thing. It says, your billing specialist. And it gives a phone number that when you look at it, the phone number can't be seen because in the background is the writing on the other side. It's so clear you can't read the phone number.
Okay, it's not your billing specialist, it's your vision specialist.
It's true, Mike. The next one is, here's a pen. It looks great. It looks like Fireball XL5. And it's got everything you could want from a pen. It's got, I don't know, something that looks like fire coming out of the fire part. And you're going, hey, this is great. And then you go, wait, there's no writing on it at all. I'm just pulling these things out of here. I've got 96 more to go. Would I do that? Maybe, but maybe not.
Might as well. I'm not going anywhere.
All right, the next one is Family Enrichment Services. I don't know how you can enrich a family, but then I'm looking at it says www.familyenrichmentservices.org, and it gives a phone number. It could be a Boeing aircraft, 727-657-7761. And this one looks like, I don't know, it's very rich in fonts, but I don't know what this does. I have no idea. It's a purple pen, and it's got it fails. Wait a minute. It does work. Okay. You flip it around, and then it gives you a pen, and it does something in some sort of pen thing. And then on the other side, you can go ahead and do things with your phone. I don't know. Okay, I'm up to now 5 pens. Is this as good as it could be? No, not at all. Okay, E5I6.
Inside BB jumping back in. Family Enrichment Services is a private rehab clinic in Pinellas Park, Florida. They specialize in the treatment of mental health. Uh-oh, Tom, you're in trouble now. People are sending you pins to improve your mental health. Inside BB.
No, people are always stealing your pens. You should leave them out places and let people steal them. K5JW.
You know who Hiram Piercy Maxim is, don't you?
How many pens did he own?
He didn't have any pens, but you know what he did.
He did own a code key or two, I believe.
Well, he started the ERRL, but he also invented the machine gun, and he thought that with this invention it was too horrible a weapon to use, and therefore there would be no more wars.
Like the theme of Doomsday Machine. Anyway, I'm going to check out again, guys. K5JW.
Yeah, boy, was he wrong.
Another relative, like his dad or something, did the machine gun. Howard Percy was involved with silencers, and he also was involved with silencers for like gasoline engines inside BB.
Well, I use my gasoline engine silencer on my AR-15. It works perfect. Fits right on the barrel.
W5FC.
I mean, mufflers on cars now. Let's see. Did you know? Guess what? He died returning home from a trip to California to visit the Lick Observatory. Tom, you didn't tell us that. Hiram Percy Maxim had visited an observatory when he died coming home. Maybe he was a astronomer also. Good little tidbit for Skynet inside BB.
Well, he probably took Route 66, which is just a terrible road. It was just, like Carnage Road.
You can get your kicks on Route 66.
Well, that's where I got mine.
Tom, there's a movie we've got to see if we can find it. It's called So Goes My Love. That's So, G-O-E-S, My Love. It was a American 1946 comedy film produced by Universal Pictures. It's based on a true story called A Genius in the Family, the memoir, I'm not saying that right, of Hiram Percy Maxim. which focuses on the relationship between Maxim and his father, Sir Hiram Stevens Maxim. The film was Myrna Loy's first starring role after her departure from MGM. Oh my, I'll send you a link to this, Tom. We gotta look at it. Donna Michi is Hiram Stevens Maxim, and Myrna Loy must be his wife. What a deal. Inside BB.
Sounds like my kind of movie, KG5P.
She was popular back in the 50s.
That was when she started doing films with William Powell.
All right, I have it written down. It's got an asterisk beside it, and I will go and research this. So goes... What? So goes my love. So goes my love. I got it right here. I'll look it up.
Yeah. It's got, let's see, it's on Rotten Tomatoes, but I can't see, I don't think anybody's rated it. But anything with Donna Michi and Myrna Loy has got to be something else.
Oh, I agree. I've got it on the list. I'll tell you what. You guys don't know this, but I do actually write down stuff and see if I can insert it into our movie queue. And I will find it, or not. And if I do, I'll put it in the queue and we'll watch it. Because, what the heck? We have no lives! KE5I6.
We have no lives, but we have 100 pens.
Help me out here before I check out for the evening, which I keep saying I'm going to do. Does Maxim have anything to do with that secret thing that y'all do every year for what's it called? Not Field Day, but the Hamcom. Don't you remember that thing you do at Hamcom where you have that secret society thing where you do that, you do something with that funky looking dagger thing or whatever? Is the Maxim started that, or am I getting two things mixed up? K5JW.
I think you have them mixed up with the Shriners.
Wolf on.
I like the Shriners answer. You have the Wolfhong thing. Hiram Percy didn't have anything to do with that?
The Wolfhong Society, but I've never seen it at Hamcom, KG5P.
I have participated in the proceedings, which occur at midnight. And they're secret. I can't tell you about them. Inside BB.
Yeah? Well, I got a secret too, and I'm not going to tell you. So there, yeah. Yeah.
We don't want to sink any ships. Understood. Good night, all. K5JDW.
Not loose. I'm still trying to find I find a little segment of it on YouTube. So far I haven't found, I see where you can buy a DVD. Let's see, where to watch. I don't know. This may be a hard one to find, Tom. We got to figure it out. If not, we'll get a DVD and we'll watch it together sometime. Here we go. It's on TCM. Here, it's a TCM movie. Maybe it'll show up at one of the movie theaters that shows Turner Classic Movies. We'll figure it out. 1946. Inside BB.
What's that name again? I'm going to get one of my 100 pens and write it down, or else I'll forget it.
Use the invisible ink. remember, it's lemon juice. You heat it over a flame to make it visible. You did that when you were a kid, didn't you? It's called So Goes My Love. 1946 movie. The unconventional courtship of Maxim, which is Hiram Percy's dad, and Jane Budden. So it's Donna Michi and Myrna Loy. She is a pig farmer's daughter out to land a rich husband. This sounds like a hoot. It's a comedy. N5BB.
I get the winner of Field Day movie. K5JW.
Is this curtain call?
I need the lemon juice because I can't read my handwriting anyway, and neither can anybody else.
Everyone has to ask, what would Don Amici do? KE5I6.
WDAD.
5TSK and have to upgrade our echo link. You're the only person we can see. We need to see all these other people with these strange comments. K5TSK back to net.
It's a negative.
FC. Oh no, no one loves us anymore.
I just wondered how many people are waiting out there.
The repeater's acting up, though.
Somebody kicked the repeater.
I don't think that's repeater. That's someone out there unhappy.
Somebody kicked them.
Somebody pull a plug.
Alright, well, I think they're trying to tell us it's time for bed. So I want to say 7-3, everybody. Thank you for a good time. I'm going to check out So Goes My Love and figure out that film. That actually might be fun and something totally different from 1946. We can put flying saucers in it or something. I think it might be interesting. Okay, I'm going to say 7-3 to everybody. I'm going to go watch, what was it? Promised Planet over on, what's the, ETV, the Lost in Space third season episode. Why not? It's actually not that bad. And it's got one of the actors from the first season from Return to Earth. Yeah, I know that stuff. I'm not sure why. Bye. KE5ICX.
I don't know, it seems like whenever somebody keys up and talks, the repeater, behaves itself. I don't know. I do not know these things. 1790.
N5BB clear.